Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. It's day 3000 of the Murdaugh trial. It's actually day 19. It feels so long. This has been the longest 19 days ever. This afternoon we are rocking a lemon lime Waterloo. Let me know what you are drinking. We are keeping up with the weather here, so you keep me up with the weather. So far we're fine. It's just sometimes the air gets swirly where I live, and that sometimes happens where you live too. So stay safe, everybody, with the weather systems. Let's see what happens this afternoon. I don't know. Are we going to see a timeline witness? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think this afternoon we are going to start getting right into the roadside incident. Great. Let's start getting into the roadside incident and hope that the weather doesn't kick us offline. And if it does, I am sure there are others streaming around the internet. Rob seems to be the bad weather bailout. He's like, I'm trying to get work done, but we'll figure it out. Either way, let's just rock. I see what you guys are drinking. It happened to Peter the other night. His power went out. I saw that. We're just doing the things. All right, I'm going to roll the intro. We're going to wait for court to come back. I should probably put up a poll of what you think. Miguelina, let's put up a poll. What do you think we'll see this afternoon? Timeline or roadside? I would love to know what you think. I don't mind doing a poll. I tend to not vote on things like, will it be a hung jury or guilt or innocence? Because we're just not done. We're just not done with the the evidence yet. And we've got a lot of this to go. And then I see you guys all chatting about other creators in the chat. We try to keep a safe space where we're not chatting about other creators in the chat unless the other creators are in the chat chatting with us. And I appreciate that. So thank y'all for, we've got the rules. We're just focusing on doing our own thing and having a chitty chat. Let's roll it. I see what you guys are drinking. Oh, I'm jealous of this one. Sue, I am ready. So we've got a poll up. Did anyone go get a Bellini? Somebody did. Somebody in the chat has a Bellini, I'm sure. Let's roll the intro and let's just go. Let's do the thing.
Hey there, I'm Emily D. Baker, the internet's go-to legal analyst, breaking down the legal side of the pop culture and entertainment stories we can't stop talking about. I'm a big fan of the cursey words. I've been a licensed attorney for over 17 years, but this is not legal advice. This is where the law nerds unite to talk about facts, not. Let's get into it.
Thanks, y'all. I know sometimes other chats talk about us, but we don't talk about Bruno. We just do our own thing over here. So I very much appreciate it. I see some of you are drinking coffee. Some of you are drinking the drinks. Some of you are like, drinks is all that's happening. It's drinks. And I get it because that's how I'm feeling too. Still iced coffee, dragons, treasures, tea, wizard beer, cup of tea. Lots of you with tea. We've got all of this. We need the timeline. I know we do. And when we get to the timeline is when we're going to finally get, I think, to the GPS location data. Here's the thing. The way this has all been going, the defense has made things more clear than the prosecution has. I just wonder if the defense's case in chief is going to be way more clear than the prosecution's. It just is. So, let us continue on along. So Golden Girl asked, why can't chat discuss other creators in the chat? Because even when it starts out kind, it doesn't always end up that way, and it just invites a whole lot of discussion. We tend to stay on topic. Again, if there are other creators in the chat and we're chatting with them, that's different. But when we're talking about people, we're not talking about the trial. And the law nerds just talk about what we're watching. So that's a general rule across the board. We don't do play-by-plays of other things that are going on. And that's been a rule since I started my channel, because we had a case that I was covering where another creator would go live when I went live talking about us. And we're like, we're not talking about it. So that's been a long-standing rule on the channel, that we don't do play-by-plays of what's going on with other stuff. We really don't talk about other people because we don't talk about, it devolves into gossip quickly. And that's what most of the chat is not here for, because that's just what we do. We talk about the cases and we talk about the things. So that's part of our rules. It's always been part of our rules. And I know we have a lot of new folks, and I love having new folks. And it's just explaining why we do things the way we do, because sometimes it's really positive and sometimes it gets wild. If I say like Natalie's streaming tonight, it's totally fine to be like, oh my God, yay, Natalie's streaming tonight. But that's different than being like, oh my God, this, that. that I don't get into. So it's just a different thing because we really try to stick to talking about the case. And that's what our chat's used to. And that's what I'm used to. And that's what we do because, again, it can devolve. I know there's other spaces in the internet that talk about this chat. We don't talk about Bruno. We keep going. And I appreciate it because it often ends up into all of this. We are booked and busy up in here. With that, members, court has not come back yet. Members, we are moving our members only live stream to Monday. There is no court on Monday, and it will give us lots of time to chat just because I want to make sure I get our quick bits done, and I am behind on quick bits because of traveling. So I want to make sure that I get those done. So I cannot do both. It's just been too much. And it really is between running the Emily Show podcast, which is regularly the top of its categories across platforms, keeping the podcast going and the podcast going on other topics than this trial, and keeping quick bits and doing this. And there are some other things in the works that I can't even tell you about yet that I will be able to tell you about soon. I had to move the members only live stream to Monday, but we have some more production things in the works. Some of those will be detailed soon. We've got stuff going on with the shop. We've got stuff going on with other platforms. We are busy to the point where we're saying no. When people reach out and they're like, can we talk about this case? I'm like, no, you can't. I can't. I don't have room to give commentary anywhere but here.
Ready for the jury?
Yes.
State's ready, Your Honor.
Defense ready, Your Honor.
You may bring the jury. What's on your tie, Your Honor? His tie looks like it is like almost like a school crest. I just wonder if the judge is wearing a tie of his own school crest, because everybody's talked about USC and Clemson so much. Clemson, Tigers. I just wonder if it's his own school crest. So I'm very curious if it is. The judges' ties have been great, but I just wonder. Yes, we can still send a shout out to Rick Hogue for being able to walk independently. Rick posted that on his channel, and that is a congratulations. I know, but it is a big news to me. Big news to me. Looks like a Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity tie. That's very cool. Emily, do you have a case after this? I don't know what I'll do otherwise. Oh, we're going to take a break from live trial streaming. After this and get back.
Good. Welcome back.
To catch up on all the things we've been
Ladies
missing.
and gentlemen, I've appointed juror number 826 to serve as the foreperson of the jury. In various places, in various states, it's done differently. In some places, the
Your Honor, did you hear us
jury
talking?
selects a foreperson.
Did you hear us talking about you, Your Honor?
My practice to appoint a foreperson.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The fact that
We were
a
confused.
person is appointed as foreperson does not give that juror any more authority than any other juror. All jurors are equal participant, and each juror has an equal voice in the process.
We appreciate it, Your Honor. We were
And,
confused.
Well, certainly welcome you to this role as foreperson, and look for all of you to continue with your role in the process from now through the end.
Thank you for the
With
explanation.
that, we will have the state call its next witness.
Can you just let us know the logo on your tie, though,
Thank you,
later?
Your Honor. May it
'Cause-
please the court, the state called Senior Special Agent Ryan Kelly.
Senior Special Agent Ryan Kelly.
Sorry if I'm walking away from you.
Roadside.
Do you swear or
That's
affirm any
roadside.
testimony you give today will be
All right, let's
the
end our
truth,
poll,
the
'cause now we have our
whole truth,
answer.
and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right, please proceed and state your full name
Is
for
it
the
Kelly,
record.
K-E-L-L-Y,
Spell
or
your last
K-E-L-L-E-Y?
name,
This is Roadside.
and make sure you can get to the mic real good.
I'm so glad that the judge clarified the jury.
Ryan Kelly, Kelly.
Poor Ryan Kelly is like, fuck this chair right
Special
now.
Agent Kelly, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, sir. How
I
are you?
hate this chair.
Doing well. If you would just quickly introduce yourself to the jury
All
and
right,
just give them a
roadside
short
incident.
synopsis of your career in law enforcement leading to where you are today.
My name is Ryan Kelly.
I
I'm a
went to
senior
Wade
special
Hampton
agent
High
with the
School.
State Law Enforcement Division. I'm from Berkeley County. I went to college at the Citadel, where I studied biology.
A lot
I
of
attended
Citadel
the
grads.
South Carolina Criminal Justice Academy. I've got approximately 22 years law enforcement experience, the last 10 of which have been at SLED Investigative Services, Low Country Region, where our caseload includes
Of course
violent
it's
crime,
SLED.
public corruption,
The beard is a
officer-involved critical
required part of the
incidents,
uniform.
and financial crimes. Currently there as a senior special agent.
All right, and if you would get
I
that
want to
mic
send
just a
him the
little bit
new
closer to your
Manscaped like
to your-
beard,
to
like
yourself.
brush.
Is that better? Okay.
Dr. Baker's
that's
beard
much
has been
better.
so great. I love that thing.
Have you, as far as the murders at Moselle, you had a very tangential role in that particular case, is that correct?
That's correct.
81% of you said roadside incident.
Moving
'cause
forward,
Chavis Bay. I was
did
hoping for a
you
timeline too.
become the
Personal
lead case
desire.
agent on a different matter that started on about September 4th, 2021?
Yes, on September 4th, 2021, there was an incident involving Alec Murdaugh, where he was shot along Old Salcahatchee Road in Hampton County.
All right, and did you respond to that particular scene?
I did.
Okay, and about what time did that occur?
The shooting occurred at approximately 1:36 p.m.
All right, and that's September 4th?
September 4th, yes.
What year?
As you're,
We
as
know,
you
but-
arrived at the scene.
All right, I'm going to
what, if
switch
anything,
feeds so we
did
can
you
see
notice
Alec's
about
face.
What vehicle was there?
Prior to arriving at the scene,
He's like, when you arrived at the scene, he's like, let me back you up, counsel.
Mr. Murdaugh was being treated at a hospital in Savannah. So I responded to Savannah first. After meeting with Mr. Murdaugh, I then responded back to the Salcahatchee Road.
Okay, and we'll talk about that in a bit, but let me ask you about the scene a little bit. What vehicle was at the scene?
There's a black Mercedes SUV.
All right, and do you know who that
Maggie's car?
Mercedes belonged to?
Yes,
And who did it belong to?
Maggie Murdaugh.
All right, and what information had been, you said you responded to Savannah Hospital, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, and you had a chance to talk with the defendant, Alec Murdaugh?
I did.
This
And
is
you
what I
seen
want to
here in the
hear.
courtroom today?
Yes, he's there in the brown blazer in between Mr. Harpootlian and
Let me ask you, I want to ask just a little bit about the scene before we get into that. What, if anything, did you notice about the condition of the vehicle?
Trial number 3.
The vehicle had a driver's side rear flat tire.
Okay. And did you notice anything about that particular tire, the class of tire was, or what kind of tire it was?
That particular tire is a run flat.
All right.
So the tire was flat, and when we got there, we expected to see some type of damage to the tire, to the inner wall or whatnot, and that just wasn't present. After reviewing the tire and looking at it up close, we saw what we thought appeared to be a small puncture wound or
The
a puncture
knife.
mark on the sidewall.
The
And what
knife.
did that appear to have caused that as you looked at it?
It looked like a small blade, like a pocket knife that most police officers would carry in their pocket. It appeared to be something similar to that.
Tell the jury a little bit about a run flat tire. What does that mean if the tire goes, quote, flat?
Well, I don't work for Mercedes, and I'm not a tire expert, but it is it's a feature on certain brands of tire that once there is some type of puncture, that the tire remains operable. So if you're driving on a road and you suffer a blowout, it allows you to drive to a safe space, where you can pull off and seek assistance there. But they typically don't go flat immediately after being punctured, unless there's some catastrophic damage to the tire. And in this case, there was not. That catastrophic damage was not there.
It's always a knife. It's always a pocket knife. It's always a pocket knife. The pocket knife is always to blame. But it seems like he punctured his own tire. Ooh.
All right. In the stand by for me just real quick.
Clayton, I have a mouthful of ice. Why can't you just ask the next question, man? You asked like 3 questions. Why are we not ready? Ah. All right. Anyway, Creighton, man, you've had lunch.
All right. In the course of your investigation, as you started to look into this, did you obtain a copy or review the 911 call?
Real question.
From this
Does the knife say
particular incident?
hasta la
Yes, I
muerte?
did.
All right. And who made that
Muerte.
particular 911 call?
Alec Murdaugh.
All right. And I'm going to show you
let's hear it.
what's been marked as States 543. And is that a disc containing that particular 911 call?
Yes.
This is
All right,
good
Your Honor, at
evidence.
this point, I would move in States 543, I believe without additional objection.
Without additional objection, Your Honor.
It's admitted.
I think he punctured
All right,
the
thank
tire
you.
on the roadside to make it
I'm
look
gonna go
like he was
ahead and,
attacked.
play that.
For those asking about Dr. B and the ice, Dr. B hates it the most, but I am very ADHD, and ice chewing is just. It is just a thing. But I've got the little like Sonic ice, but Dr. B hates it. Hates it the most. Hates it the most. I want to hear this 911 call. So no, not great for your teeth. Listen to his tone on this 911 call vis-a-vis how you remember his 911 call saying my wife and child have been shot badly. The quiche was delicious. It's our new favorite. I probably am also iron deficient, but I'm also ADHD, and ADHD folks do a lot of mouth things, gum, Tic Tacs, ice, all the things. I'm waiting for this 911 call.
Let me ask you this.
Why don't you have somebody help?
While we're getting that 911 call up, can you generally describe what was reported by the defendant on 911?
Yes. Mr. Murdaugh called 911. The Hampton County 911 operator answered the phone, obviously asked, what's your emergency? Mr. Murdaugh said that he was on Salcahatchee Road by a church with a red roof. When she asked what had happened, he said that he had been driving on Old Salcahatchee Road, suffered a flat, and when he pulled over, another motorist arrived on scene to render assistance.
Suffered a
and
flat.
He said that when he turned around, the motorist shot him. So at that point, the dispatcher asked, have you been shot? And then that's at that point where Mr. Murdaugh said, yes, he'd been shot. But then he said he was okay.
Staged the flat as well.
And did he say that he got a flat tire, he stopped, and then someone stopped to help and then shot him?
Yes.
All right.
I wonder if the jury remembers that he asked Blanca for his health insurance card. I don't know if he did. We'll see. I mean, I'm not surprised they have technical difficulties at all. But I don't know if this will help. So I got a flat tire is the story to 911, even though there's a knife recovered and the tire is punctured. So I don't know why they're not ready. So I'm ready for this 911 call though. I love that everybody's helping doing the thing. Other people saw him and didn't stop, said he looked suspicious. They did. Passenger shaming, explaining all the things in the chat. I appreciate it. Y'all, Rob is not testifying. I'm sure at some point he will be summoned to the chat and will say, that's not me.
Jury room for
Oh,
a few
no.
minutes. Please do not discuss the case.
They just came back from lunch. No. We were so close. This trial is going to be 6 weeks long by the time we're done. It's going to be 6 weeks long by the time we're done. We're going to be here forever. We're going to be here forever. Moonglow. I think I read that right. Did I read that correctly? I don't think he meant to kill himself. I think he meant to show another attacker. I think you're right. He says he staged it for life insurance. The defense argues that he meant to die. I don't think that's what happened. I think he meant to show his family was being attacked. We'll see what the prosecution argues. Oh no, they're still in court. Hey, don't do that. All right, let's switch to the other feed and see if it'll still show us. No, we can watch them working in court. It's fine. I guess not. I guess not. So I think that the insurance payout is also part of the scheme. I think that's also part of the thing. This trial, 6 weeks, the prosecution case in chief is going to be 6 weeks. We're going to be here forever. They're taking a break to fix the tech issue. And it's playing now. I can hear it in court. I can hear the night. Okay, they got it working. So the jury will be back soon. It's just wild. Can the state argue that he never meant to die because insurance card and still separately charge him for insurance fraud. That's a very interesting point. I think we would have some potential issue preclusion if they argue in this case that it was not actually insurance fraud, that the insurance fraud was also a lie. Then I think they're precluded from prosecuting him on the insurance fraud, which is why I don't think they'll change tax, because he says it's insurance fraud. For them to say he's lying about it being insurance fraud, it's not. He's trying to make it look like his family is being attacked by a vigilante because the walls are closing in. But I don't know if this happens after all the financial crimes keep closing in. So I don't know. The whole thing is so freaking sussy. I just don't know. But no, they can't argue against their own prosecution. And that's a very, very good point. They can't argue in one case, it's not really insurance fraud. And in the other case, prove he said it was insurance fraud, therefore it is. They can't do that. They're precluded. We just live here now. I know we live here now. Do you think he called Blanca for the insurance card before or after he was shot? I don't remember a timeline for Blanca, but now we have a timeline for this. And we know the roadside shooting happened at 1:36 p.m. I wonder if they're going to recall Chris Wilson and talk about the conversation he had. Because remember, he had the conversation with Chris Wilson that we heard about in the 404, but we didn't hear about in front of the jury, where they were talking about it, the shit you up real bad, that conversation. Oh, the jury did hear that conversation. But then Chris Wilson got the call about the roadside incident shortly thereafter. So I think he probably called her before, or maybe while he was on his way, but it was after that Chris Wilson conversation. And she said, I think morning. So I don't know if it was before or after the Chris Wilson conversation, and that would be interesting. But if we had a timeline, it would just be so helpful. Not a timeline we've created, a timeline these prosecutors have created. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's answer some questions because we live here. We live here now. Blanca said he called in the morning. I think that's what I remember as well. I just don't remember exactly when, but yes, morning. Perfect. Morning. Perfect. Roadside incident. I saw another question I was trying to grab up and then the chat jumped. Roadside incident came in after the defense mentioned Eddie repeatedly. It did. But Chris Wilson talked about the conversation and did not talk about the roadside incident in front of the jury, to the best of my memory. I'd have to go back to my notes. That's why I'm taking notes. Gosh, she did say morning. And it wasn't until the roadside, it was after the roadside incident that a lot of other things kind of unwound. And it's okay to Blanca. Aaron H, it's okay. It's okay to Blanca. I knew exactly what you meant. Is Cousin Eddie up next after this witness? No. I don't know if they're going to call Cousin Eddie. I think they're going to play all the interviews today, or they're going to try to play all the interviews today with this witness. So we'll see. But this is September 4th, 2022, I believe. 2021? 2022? 2021. This is September 1st, 2021. They didn't give the year. They just gave September 1st, but this is 3 months after the shooting, so 2021. Deborah said, I'm late here. You're not. We're all on time. But what was Alec Murdaugh doing between 10:14 when he ended with 911 and when law enforcement arrived at 10:26? Did he call family? I don't know what he was doing. But we do know that somebody was touching the face, or raindrops were touching the face. Something was activating the face of Paul's phone during that time. Thank you to Unknown Law Nerd for gifted membership yesterday. Zoe, you are welcome. We have had lots of gifted memberships. This is an incredible community. I love our online community. So Steph said, thank you for these streams, helping me during a stressful time at work. We're here to be your coworkers. I got my mom watching you too. Hello, Mom. I'm hyped up on Celsius. Delicious. So Steph, glad to hear it. We're here to be your coworkers. Look, for all of you that love having a coworker in the background yammering all day long, we're here for you. I suppose that quote on target Wednesday for the state is some Wednesday in 2024. Yes. And the defense is now going to have to shift all their witness travel because they're going to have to. Jen said, question, there is speculation regarding the psychology behind killings one family, but have also seen that a psych evaluation would not be allowed as evidence by the prosecution. Can you explain this? The mental state and capacity are not at issue here, so it's not proper evidence in this case. If the defense raises a mental state defense, then it would open the door for that, but they are not. So you would not get into any psychological profiles and things like that. Those often don't come up in a case unless a psychological defense is raised, and not all states have psychological defenses raised at the same time as the guilt trial like this. They would be raised in separate trials where you have a trial on that issue separately before you go through here. So that. Aurelia said, judges tie logo, Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, historically African-American fraternity. I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, Inc., oldest historically African-American sorority. I'm well familiar with Alpha Kappa Alpha because Alpha Kappa Alpha was one of the coolest sororities where I went to school, but I am familiar with Kappa Alpha Psi. I just did not recognize the logo. So thank you, Aurelia. I love that the judge is like, if we're going to boys club it up, here's mine. And I'm here for it. Emily, can we just let all of the gaming community know that YouTube creator of Nebs Gaming? What? I didn't know that. I don't know that creator, and I don't know if we have much gaming community here, so I don't know. But thank you. I mean, I don't know. And it's hard when I don't know things to know, because there are so many, the internet doesn't always share things. And I'm not saying you, the internet sometimes has things that are not right, which is why I try not to do breaking news, because I like to verify things myself. I know there are lots that play games here. I just don't know if there's any gamer streamers here, but hopefully there is support for their family. Poor put away Pee-wee Gaskins back in the day. Love you, Emily. Appreciate you. Poot had a lot of high profile trials. He's always wanted to be a high profile trial attorney. My mom was a judge who would chew ice when annoyed with the attorneys during court. I would be that judge. Alex, his age didn't allow for him to account for smart tech when planning his crimes, run flat tires, smartphones, etc. If it's him, he didn't account for the tech. Why did he ask for ID cards if he planned to die? Again, I don't think he planned to die, but that's what the defense is arguing. The state's arguing that he didn't plan to die. You only need insurance info if you're getting care. Blanca's testimony is powerful for this. It is, but it puts the state in a pickle of what they are arguing. Are you in a safe place? I am very aware of the weather. If I have to go take cover, I will. I've ended streams before because I have to. Don't worry. We are not under a warning. We are under a watch. So don't worry. I am doing that. Question, is there really a law against participating in drag shows now in Tennessee? I don't know. And if things have happened during the pendency of this trial, I have looked at this trial. I have summarized this trial. I have gotten ready for the podcast, and that's been about it. So if things have changed during this trial, I have not been following. There's truly no time. I get up, I stream, I wrap the stream, I make notes about the stream, I prep the podcast for the following week, do the work things that my team needs from me, and go to sleep. Sometimes I eat. So I don't know. Do you think the prosecution realizes how disjointed their case has been? I don't know. The prosecution's awfully close to this case, and I worry that they don't know. So it's just been, it really is all encompassing covering a trial like this. Can anyone tell us why we're on break? Laura M., no. They were having tech issues with the 911 tape, and the judge sent the jury to the jury room. So here we are. But it is really hard when covering a case like this to see anything outside of this. It is really a blinders on kind of a thing. So, but also chat, I don't know the news, and I'm trying not to derail on what's going on because I truly don't know. So I can't give much help or input. At least with the JDAH case, we could see the light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, we could. And we knew that you could understand the story and you could go, oh, this goes to this. And they're arguing this. You could kind of see, the pieces moving on the board, and seeing the pieces moving on the board is a lot easier. This is disjointed and confusing and very, very difficult. Why wouldn't they add charges of intention and Why wouldn't they add charges of intention instead and try the case like he's the one who did it? They are definitely trying the case like he's the one that did it. They must have believed that that's where the evidence pointed them. But
Come to order!
good goodness, the bailiff has said all rise, come to order with a swiftness that scared the crap out of me. Judge is back on the bench. Okay. That's sorry,
the
y'all.
jury.
R.I.P. to your ears. You may bring the jury. Sorry for the jump scare. The way they turned these microphones on, because they hadn't shifted back to court yet, so I couldn't even turn it down. Sorry, y'all. Maybe he knew all the lies was going to catch up to him and needed another person. I don't know. Cousin Eddie is in jail for insurance fraud. He's in jail for a lot of things. He's in jail for a number of things, but this is one of them. The roadside incident is one of those. So I don't know what about Buster. I got my lip gloss in the mail today. Loving it, Michelle. I'm so glad. Is Jim still trying to make fetch happen? Everyone's still trying to make fetch happen in this case. I think the prosecution too. I just don't know what their fetch is because it's been really hard to follow. Was Roadside just days after he was told he's a suspect? He was told he's a suspect on August 11th. The law firm outed him on the theft or confronted him on the theft on September 3rd and terminated him. September 4th, he had the conversation with Chris Wilson in the morning, asked Blanca for his insurance card, and then Cousin Eddie met up with him on the side of the road and shot him in the head, or found him already shot in the head, or.
All right, Special Agent Kelly.
Can they
we fixed
recall
our technical
witnesses? Yes, they can.
difficulties, and for the record, about to publish the 911 call.
The prosecution emphasized that Maggie didn't want to return to the house. Oh, we'll get to that in a minute, but the sister's testimony goes to that.
Hampton County 911, what's your emergency?
Oh, no, Salkehatchie Road.
Okay, what's the address on Salkehatchie Road?
I'm by the church.
What church? What church are you talking about?
I don't know the name of it with the red roof.
Okay, what end of Salkehatchie Road? 'Cause I don't know what you're talking about.
At the Hampton County side.
Okay, what's going on?
I got a flat tire,
Mm-hmm.
and I stopped, and somebody stopped to help me. And when I turned my back, they tried to shoot me.
Oh, okay. Were you shot?
Yes, but I'm okay.
You shot where? Where were you shot at?
Huh?
Did they actually shoot you or they tried to shoot you?
They shot me, but
Okay, wait, you need EMS?
well, I mean, yes, I can't drive,
Okay.
and I'm bleeding a lot.
What part of your body?
I'm not sure, somewhere on my head.
Your head?
Somebody just stopped for me, ma'am. For 911.
Okay. Still?
What?
Hey,
Okay, let me speak to him, see if he can tell me exactly where you are.
All right, for the record, I'm stopping that at 141. Was that the defendant on the 911 call?
Yes.
At that point in time, he said, "Someone shot me."
Yes.
Did he identify who that was?
No, he did not.
Who's he handing the phone to? His attorneys have argued that he had a fractured
I'll show you what's been marked as
Skull
States 545.
and a brain bleed.
Is this a copy of a body-worn camera video you received from the defendant in the ambulance at the scene?
Yes.
I guess there's no more
By the scene,
911
you mean the
calls?
side of the road on September 4th.
Absolutely. Salkehatchie Road, September 4th, 2021.
Your Honor, at this point, I'd offer States 545 into evidence, I believe, without additional objection.
No additional objection, Your Honor.
It's submitted.
All right, for the record, I am going to publish a portion of that video.
Warning, there may be blood.
had a tire go flat. I pulled over, and this car went by me. And didn't pay a lot of attention, truck, but then it turned around, came back. A real nice guy, acted like, and I turned my head and, I mean, boom.
Okay. You know what kind of gun it was?
I don't know what kind of gun it was, but it sounded like a shotgun, even though it was so
Sir.
loud. It didn't sound like a 22. I know that's what they think it is, but it didn't sound like a 22.
It looks like a small caliber hole. Yeah. Small caliber? Yeah, small caliber.
But it was extremely loud.
What's your name?
Alex Murdaugh.
Okay. What's your date of birth?
5/27/68.
Over here, buddy. I'm good. You're good. That's a good telephone number, Miss Murdaugh.
942-1227.
27. And what's your address?
PO Box 457.
The fact that this man is the same age as my husband continues to blow my mind.
321 South McKay Temple, 321 South McKay Temple. Uniform Nancy Parker, 136, repeat, uniform Nancy Parker.
His attorneys argue that he has a fractured skull and a brain bleed.
Pickup. It's a Ford, a GMC, or what?
It wasn't a Ford, I know that.
It wasn't a Ford. Like a Ram type, or
You know, I think it was a GMC or a Chevrolet, but
GMC?
I'm not totally positive.
You said you didn't pay much attention to it. It's really okay to say, I don't know. I didn't pay attention to it.
Like I promised, I'll do my.
Don't try to fill in the details you don't know.
So you have a flat tire, Mercedes Benz, on the side of the road, try to change your tire. The one called a pickup came inside you, you thought everything was okay, and then it called us. You think it was a shotgun, is it shot? How many times did it fire? You think?
I think just one time.
What time?
The audio just got real weird. Sorry.
I lost my vision right when it first happened. And I think
Let's wait for, we gonna put the take him to the hospital. What's that? You gonna fly him out?
Oh, we flying. Yeah, we're flying. Yeah, we can't handle that.
Okay.
Not no traumas are hit like that.
When the flight crew
We'll
gets
find
in,
out.
we'll find out where we're going. Once you gotta give me some pictures of him for something. 1 second.
All right, for the record, I played that clip from about 14:07 to 14:10 by the timestamp. Was that the defendant in the ambulance at the scene on Salkatchie Road?
Yes, it was.
And did he again tell the story that shot by an unknown?
Yes, the story was consistent.
All right, and did he say at any time during that anyone shot him?
No.
And what did he say the weapon sounded like that shot him?
He said it sounded like a shotgun.
Okay. Said it sounded like a shotgun.
On September 4th,
They had taken
you
his
said you
shirt off at this
responded
point. He
to,
did have blood on him, but they had taken his shirt
hospital?
off at this point.
Yes, in Savannah, Georgia.
All right.
He was
and who did you
airlifted.
see when you were there?
I met with Alex Murdaugh and I met with Randy Murdaugh.
All right. And did you have a conversation with the defendant?
Yes, I did.
All right. And can you just very generally relate what the defendant said? Did he tell you a very similar story that we've heard from the 911 call in the ambulance video?
Yes, when we arrived in the hospital, Mr. Murdaugh was receiving treatment. He was awake and willing to talk to us. At that point, he was the only witness to this incident. We asked him what happened, and he told us a story that was consistent with the 911 call and with what was told to the deputy.
Flat tire stopped. Somebody stopped to
And
help.
did he
Shot him in the head.
state that a driver had stopped, passed by, turned around, and came back to the location?
Yes, he said the similar story, that he was driving along Old Salkatchie, that he hit something significant with his tire, causing it to go flat. So when he pulled over to the side of the road to inspect the tire, it was flat. As he was doing that, he said a dark in color Chevy pickup truck drove by, passed him, turned around, and came back to his location. He said he made contact with the driver, and as Mr. Murdaugh turned around to walk back to his vehicle, he said the driver then shot him.
Did he say that the driver of the truck seemed very nice?
He described the driver as a very nice, nice-looking male between 30 and 45 years of age.
Did he tell you what he thought the weapon was that shot him with?
Yes, while he initially said it was a shotgun in the ambulance, when we met with him at the hospital, he identified the weapon as possibly a .22 caliber.
Did he say whether or not he ever lost consciousness?
He said that he lost his vision, dropped down to his knees, but he did not believe he'd lost consciousness.
Did he describe the vehicle of the person that supposedly did this?
Yes, he again described a newer model, dark in color blue Chevy pickup with, I believe, some type of sport tires.
And did he
A friend of mine
describe
had
the
a case
driver
with
at
a
all?
victim shot with a
of this?
22 to the head,
That supposedly
and it did no
was the
damage.
person who shot him.
Yes, his description of the
It just
driver was
stopped.
consistent, a white male between 30 and 40 years of age. He described him as nice-looking, a nice person. He described him as having close cropped hair with a close cropped facial hair.
And did he say whether or not he would recognize this unknown person if he saw him again?
Yes, Mr. Murdaugh told us that if he were to see the person again, he would be able to identify him.
At any point, did he identify specifically any individual, or did he claim that this was an unknown
I'll
person?
tell you the
He
22
never
story
gave
later.
a specific individual's name. He just said it was someone he did not know.
Yes, we had someone who was shot with a 22 from a bit of a distance.
Look at- return back
It
to
stopped
the
on their
scene.
skull
I'm gonna show
and
you what
cut
the
their
mark
forehead,
is.
but caused no other damage. Cut their forehead, that was it. And so we had a GBI allegation, and the judge is like, where's the great bodily injury? At the hospital, they put a butterfly Band-Aid on it. Shot to the face, to the forehead with a 22, and split the skin, but didn't penetrate the skull. So if we're going to talk about anybody being hard-headed, it saved that victim's life. But 22s aren't that powerful, and he had a graze wound to the
And I'm
side
gonna
of
show
his
you
head.
Thank you.
So,
I want to show you what's been marked.
so yes, we didn't even get a
States
great bodily
544,
injury on the
see if you recognize
assault
this
with a deadly
particular
weapon because he was not.
I do.
Greatly injured.
This was recovered from inside the black Mercedes SUV driven by Mr. Murdaugh.
22s
It
aren't
is
very
his,
powerful.
Assistant solicitor's badge.
Oh, Alec Murdaugh's badge.
Helmet real quick, please.
He still had his fucking badge in September. I wonder what he used his badge to do. Still had his solicitor's badge in September. Does it look like my badge? Should I grab mine? I still have mine.
All right, is that what's on the screen right now for the jury to see?
Yes, it is.
That's a delightful photo. Thanks. Similar. Same leather wallet. Mine's no longer in a leather wallet. A solicitor is a prosecutor. Mine's back there. I'll go grab it in a minute. He still had his badge. District attorneys have badges. I'll grab it. Well,
All right, turning back to,
see if I can wheel
now,
over there with
let's
my
move into
in-ears.
September
Hold on.
5th.
Hold on.
Did agents with law enforcement continue to sort of search that scene where the Mercedes had been located?
Yes, so on September 5th, agents returned to the scene. We were looking for any evidence of involved in the accident. We were looking for the significant piece of debris, and as we were searching the roadway around where the Mercedes
It was
had
in
pulled
leather
off, we
until I
searched across
retired.
the street in the grass area, and we were
Tired
recovered
badge.
a gray in color utility knife.
Did law enforcement, did you notice any sort of debris or anything like had been described by the defendant as supposedly causing the damage to the tire?
No, we searched the area extensively, and we never were able to locate this significant piece of debris that Mr. Murdaugh described as causing his tire to go flat.
They found a gray
What's the mark?
utility
This
knife.
States 546, and do you recognize that?
Law and Lumber going to
Yes,
start
I do.
And tell the jury
hitting
what that
run
is.
flat.
That is the folding knife that was recovered across the road
the
from
knife.
where Mr. Murdaugh's vehicle was parked.
So like somebody just hucked the knife.
I believe without additional objection, the state would move into States
So he threw it
546.
across the street.
Additional
He threw it
objections, Your
across
Honor.
the street.
It's admitted.
He threw the knife across the street.
All right, and is that the knife as it was found laying in the grass?
Yes.
And again, where was that location in relationship to where the Mercedes was?
The Mercedes was pulled off to the side of the road. This was directly across the road in the grass on the other side.
Like Maggie's phone? Just a question.
Was DNA testing ultimately conducted on this particular knife?
Yes.
And were two individuals in that DNA testing that came back in the propositions as a result?
Yes, DNA profiles of both Alec Murdaugh and Eddie Smith were identified on the knife.
Of course they were. Of course they were. Of course they were. Of course
In the
they
course of the investigation, did you uncover any evidence that not long before this event occurred at 1:34 or so on September 4th, that the defendant had a confrontation with an individual?
Yes.
And who was that? Remind the jury of that, please.
Prior to going to Salcahatchee Road, Mr. Murdaugh met with Chris Wilson.
And can you remind the jury what generally that discussion was about?
Mr. Wilson and Mr.
heard
Murdaugh
this.
met. Mr. Wilson, at that point, Alec Murdaugh had been terminated from his law firm, and Mr. Wilson became aware of that, so he wanted to meet with him to discuss what was going on, because obviously Mr. Wilson and Mr. Murdaugh had
What time?
missing $192,000 from the previous months that was still ongoing.
On
What
September
time?
6th, did you return back to the Savannah Hospital?
Yes, I did.
All right, and did you have another conversation with the defendant?
Yes. When Mr. Murdaugh advised us that he would be able to, would recognize the individual if he should see them again, SLED has at its resources a composite sketch artist. So we brought her down, and her and I went to Savannah back to the hospital to re-interview Mr. Murdaugh in an attempt to create a composite sketch of the unknown suspect.
I've never been to Savannah, but it's on my list.
Again, I'm not a composite sketch artist, so I'm a layperson as I describe this. It is where an artist uses a digital software in concert with resources of magazines, of certain body types and skin tones and whatnot, and allows the victim to, like a catalog, to go through and find the identifying features closest that fit the unknown person, and those various parts are then drawn together to create a composite sketch.
All right. And during that particular interaction, was the defendant able to answer your questions?
He was.
Did he respond appropriately to subject matter?
He responded appropriately, was able to answer the questions asked of him, and again,
This all
we
goes to
started from the
capacity?
beginning, and he again went over the entire scenario of what happened on the 4th, and it was consistent with the versions he had given us
This goes to
previously.
his capacity
Agree
to
to
answer
have this discussion with
questions.
you?
He did agree.
And did you go into some discussion again with what happened on the side of the road, at least according to him at this point in time?
Yes.
And was it consistent with what he'd related before?
Because
It
if
was
you have a
consistent.
brain
Did
injury,
he describe
you
this
might not be
unknown
able
individual?
to actually
Again, he described
give
him in a similar fashion, white male between 30 and
this
40
kind
years
of
of
info.
age, was nice looking, close cropped hair, manicured, close facial hair. I believe he described him as wearing some type of outdoors type shirt. The description was consistent with what he had previously told us.
Was it a Vinnie
And did
Vines
he
shirt?
also
We just
provide
need
a
to
similar
know.
description of the vehicle that this individual was driving?
Yes, again, dark and colored Chevy pickup truck.
And yet again, at any point during this period of time, did he identify who this person was, or did he say it was an unknown assailant?
Never identified who it was and continued to tell us it was an unknown person.
Did he work with the sketch artist and looking through books and working to make a sketch of this supposed unknown assailant?
Yes, the sketch was completed.
And did that take a relatively extensive period of time?
Looking back, I don't know the exact approximate, but it probably took a couple hours for the interview and the sketch to be completed.
All right, I'm going to show you what's been marked as States 547 to your testimony and see if you recognize that image.
I do. This is the composite sketch.
All right, Your Honor, at this time I would offer States 547, I believe, without additional objection.
Without additional objections, Your Honor.
It's admitted.
I want to hear more about the defendant's statements.
And what is this image on the screen?
That is the composite sketch created with the assistance of Mr. Murdaugh,
Based on his descriptions to the sketch artist?
based on his descriptions.
If he has long hair, does he look like Taylor Lautner? I have questions. Just chat, let me know. If he has longer hair, does he look like Taylor Lautner? Just asking. Just asking.
This is
Since we
on
know it's a made-up
September
person,
6,
y'all are like,
2021?
no.
September 6, 2021.
He's made up.
That evening,
Completely
did
made
law
up.
enforcement receive any communication from the defendant's
Some of
family?
you, some of
Yes,
you
on
say
the
it.
evening of September 6th, Special Agent Owen received a call from Mr. Murdaugh's brother, Randy.
All right, can you relate what the investigation learned from that particular conversation?
Alec Murdaugh was still in the hospital in Savannah. Randy and the family had been down there with him. Randy called Special Agent Owen to let him know that Alec had been making calls from the hospital to some unknown numbers. So Randy provided those numbers to us.
And was information related that he had contact with hospital staff?
Yes, Randy told us that Alec was trying to convince the the medical staff members to allow him to use the phone so he could make phone calls.
What?
And was information related that he was actually offering the staff money to try to use
What?
the phone?
Yes, one of the nurses in their notes made note of Mr. Murdaugh trying to offer money to use their phone.
Oh, you know the nurses were like, I'm sorry, what? Because he knew they would pull his phone records.
The family of Mr. Murdaugh relayed a specific
He didn't have
name
his
and a
burner on
number
him,
to
huh?
law enforcement as they discovered that Alec was attempting to contact this person.
A specific name and number were provided to us. Curtis Edward Smith, we were able to take the telephone number and trace that back to Mr. Smith.
Randy told the police, Alec. Nobody else. Your brother told the police who you were trying to call. Randy told them. I wonder if Randy was worried that Alec was trying to get illicit narcotics into the hospital. I wonder if
During the
that's
course of this
what,
particular investigation, did law enforcement
Randy was
obtain
worried
any
about.
surveillance footage from any nearby establishments?
Yes, we did.
And can you describe that to the jury, please?
After the shooting, the agents who are present on the crime scene, obviously part of our investigation is to canvass the area. There was St. John's Baptist Church was nearby. Agents made contact with staff there. They in fact did have surveillance video that captured the roadway of Salcahatchee Road. Reviewing the footage,
Video?
we first looked to isolate Mr. Murdaugh's black and color Mercedes. That was something that was a known to us. That he went that way, it would have been seen. And as we continued to review the footage, we started looking for a blue and color Chevy pickup truck. At 1:25 p.m. approximately, we observed a blue and color Chevy pickup truck with a gold or yellow in color passenger front quarter panel. Passed by at 1:25, approximately 20 seconds later, Mr. Murdaugh's black and color SUV passed by. At 1:30 p.m., the blue and color pickup truck was seen driving back the opposite direction away from where Mr. Murdaugh would have been.
Oh. Who owns the blue pickup
All right,
with
I'm
the
gonna
gold
show you,
front panel?
3 images that have been marked, states 548, 549, and 550, and see if you recognize these images.
The jury's
Yes,
just
this
going
is
to be
the
like,
1:25 p.m. image. The first
Again.
image is the pickup truck with the gold front quarter panel.
This reminds the
second
jury
image
what
is
it looks
20
like to
seconds
have
later,
evidence.
approximately, with the black and color SUV. And the third image is at 1:30, 5 minutes later, with what appears to be the blue and color pickup truck driving back the other way.
it's got to be Eddie's truck, right?
Your Honor, this time the state would offer states 548, 549, and 550, I believe, without additional objection.
But again,
No additional objection.
look
Yeah,
at
I
how
admit it.
simple this case moves. This is what happened on the side of the road. We pulled the video. This is the video.
All right.
It's just, you
Putting
can
this up on the
logically
screen, we have the
follow.
timestamp up here, is that correct?
Yes,
And what is that right there?
that is it is a dark blue and colored Chevy pickup truck with a gold front quarter panel.
Front quarter panel.
549. What does that image reflect?
It is the Mercedes SUV.
Going in the same direction?
Going in the same direction, approximately 20 seconds after.
And then 550, what does that reflect?
That is at 1:30 p.m., approximately 5 minutes after the initial vehicles were seen. The blue Chevy truck appears to be driving in the opposite direction.
He said it was a newer Chevy, didn't he?
Did law enforcement travel to any particular residence in light of the information that had been provided by the defendant's family about the calls that the defendant was making?
Yes, once we were able to identify Curtis Edward Smith, we quickly
Definitely
learned
not
that he
Seafoam.
was a resident of Walterboro, South Carolina. So we were able to go to his residence, the morning of September 7th. And we were able, he lives at 1075 Burlington Road
Hey.
in Walterboro. Agent Owen went by.
You didn't need to do
and was
that.
able to locate or observe the blue in color Chevy pickup truck with the right
could've
front
just said.
gold quarter panel.
He went to Cousin Eddie's house.
Was a search warrant conducted of that residence?
Yeah, a search warrant was obtained and executed on the residence.
What date was that?
September 7th, 2021.
Yeah, he
and
said newer
during the
Chevy with
course of that
sports
search
tires.
warrant,
That did not look like a newer Chevy with
Was
sports tires.
there some narcotics found?
Yes,
Was there a ledger found?
yes. So a small amount of narcotics. Mr. Smith has a garage, a modest home. Over the course of the execution of the search warrant, narcotics were located inside the garage. But the search of the residence, we found the best way I could describe it would be a physician's desk reference of multiple narcotic pills, like a drug reference guide that he had made personal notes in.
And was there any sort of notebook with a ledger in it or anything like that recovered?
Yes, there was also a small spiral notebook, a 3.5-inch spiral notebook that had various, it looked like, obviously it wasn't completed by an accountant, but there was numbers and there was pills and descriptions of, it looks like some type of sales
Weather
ledger.
is screwing up our school plans today. And I'm not surprised that Alec lied about the car, but slightly. Like, it's a blue Chevy, but he said it was newer with sports tires and not older. That's not uncommon, that lies are based in kind of truth, and then the details shift. It makes it easier to keep track of. And yes, Cousin Eddie is actually a cousin.
All right, I'm going to show you what's been
Weather.
marked as States 551 and see if you recognize this image.
Yes, I do. These are transaction receipts.
I know, I missed it. I
and,
will.
Deposit and withdrawal receipts for Curtis Edward Smith's Enterprise Bank account.
And ultimately, did the law enforcement look at some of this financial information
Yeah, I
and
think
trace
this
that
stuff
back
cuts
to
both
the
ways.
defendant? This was recovered in Eddie Smith's house, correct?
Yes, those documents were recovered in Mr. Smith's house. At this point, Alex Murdaugh had been fired from his law firm for stealing from clients and from the firm. We were aware of that information. It was told to us that Mr. Murdaugh had a prescription drug addiction that we were aware of. At this point, we were aware of that Mr. Murdaugh had reached out to Mr. Smith from the hospital. So when we found, like I said, Mr. Smith lives in a modest house, has a modest vehicle. When we're seeing several $100,000 of deposits and financial records for Mr. Smith's Enterprise Bank,
You're wondering
we
where it's
obtained a
going.
search warrant. Through the execution of that search warrant, the funds were tied back to checks written by Mr. Murdaugh.
And did those-
'Cause they're like,
those
"Where
funds
are
continue
you
up until
going?"
the time of the murders at Moselle?
Where's that money?
Yes, they did.
And do they continue afterwards?
They did.
Well, Your Honor, this time I would offer States 551 into evidence, I believe, without additional objection.
Without additional objections, Your Honor.
It's admitted.
This jury is going to be so ready to convict Alec Murdaugh of the roadside shooting and the financial crimes, and they're not going to be asked about that. And then they're going to be like, well, fuck. What do you want us to do? And no, chat, giving out
Did
personal
the
data and stuff like that in court
investigation
is
obtain any
appropriate.
information from
It's not doxing.
Blanca
Cousin Eddie's in
Simpson
jail.
about any communication
I
she
just
had
thought it
with
was
the
not
defendant
necessary.
that day, September 4th, 2021?
Yes, Ms. Simpson made contact with Mr. Murdaugh, where Mr. Murdaugh had requested her send him copies of their insurance cards.
Was that prior to the incident occurring on the side of the road?
Yes, prior to the incident,
Look,
Mr.
time. There's a
Murdaugh
timeline.
attempted to meet with a few individuals, Mr. Wilson being one of them, and he made contact with Ms. Simpson via telephone.
Look at that timeline. That's how you wrap it up. You know, it's because they have more evidence and they're able to put together a timeline and they're able to say, oh, before the roadside incident, he talked to Chris Wilson.
In light of the information
Blanca
that's been
Simpson?
uncovered about Eddie Smith and the financial connection between Eddie Smith and Alec Murdaugh, did the investigation seek to re-interview Alec Murdaugh?
We did. I reached out to Mr. Arpulian on the day of September 7th, 2021.
All right. And over the course of the next few days, Was the defendant going to rehab?
Yes, we communicated regularly with Mr. Harpootlian and Mr. Griffith. They made it known to us that
Mr. Griffith.
Mr. Murdaugh had entered into a rehab facility that was out of state. So at that point, we were making an attempt to interview him. We made plans to travel to Atlanta, where we believe Mr. Murdaugh was, and those plans did not come to fruition.
This could absolutely backfire because it could leave the jury with, oh, well, he owed debts. So they
Were you
taught
able
his
to
family
make
a lesson.
contact with
The
the defense
jury
and
could
have
absolutely
a
be thinking
subsequent
that.
interview with the defendant, Alec Murdaugh?
Yes, Mr. Harpootlian called me on September 13th, 2021, and we were able to set up a telephone interview of Mr. Murdaugh.
All right, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 552, State's Exhibit 552, and see if you recognize this disc.
I do. This is a recording of the September 13th, 2021 interview with Mr. Murdaugh.
Your Honor, this time I would offer State's 552 into evidence, I believe, without additional objection.
No additional objections, Your Honor.
It's admitted.
I'm going to publish that to the jury.
I don't know what they're publishing to the jury because I was trying to deal with kid pickup stuff. So again, this, I think, goes both ways. And I think the prosecution can be like, look, he lied. But then the defense could go, look, he's got a lot more people getting involved with this shit with him. He's not doing this stuff alone. He's not doing any of this alone. So
No, it should not. We're not.
I don't know.
All right, telephone conference interview of Alec Murdaugh, 9/13/21.
I do want to hear this, though.
Whose voice is that?
Essentially, it's Jomar El Bayalde.
This is the day before he publicly admits he staged it.
Yes, he was.
Jim.
Hey, Jim, this is Ryan Kelly and Jomar El Bayalde with SLED. How are you?
Hey, Ryan and Joe.
Yes.
We had an office over here in Atlanta with Alec and Dick, and I'm just gonna put the phone here on the table next to Alec, and then turn it over to you guys.
Well, let me start, Ryan. First of all, we only have about 30 to 40 minutes before we have to get out of here, okay?
Okay, no problem, sir. Sorry about that. You caught me. I was halfway to Somerville, so I had to turn around and get into a place or.
And I'm sorry, but we were late getting in here to see Alec, and once we got in here, we had to have a long discussion.
Okay.
It's beneficial. I'd like to walk him through some questions, which will then allow you to question him, but give you some sort of, rather than him just sort of wandering around.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, before we get started, can we just have, for the purpose of our notes, obviously we prefer not to do telephone interviews. This is how y'all requested, so obviously, we don't really have a choice. But we just I'm gonna need Alex to identify himself, on the call. And basically what we do is I'm gonna ask him his date of birth and the last four of his social.
Okay, go ahead.
Did they redact this call?
Hello.
Alex, can you give me your full name?
Okay, Richard Alexander Murdaugh.
Okay, and what's your date of birth?
My date of birth is May 27th, 1968.
Last four of your social.
I muted it. I'm sure they played it in court.
Okay.
I'm not gonna.
And I understand that, obviously
So
this
I
is a
muted
unique
it.
situation conducting this interview over the phone.
I redacted it myself. I don't know if they will or not, but I
obviously
did.
You've been receiving some treatment.
Yeah, this would never happen for any of y'all.
Just for the overall, sake of your competency to be giving us information, are you right now, sound body and sound mind?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you talking to us willingly?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I agree with you. There's nothing
All
to
right,
steal with his
Dick,
identity. I agree, but still. Just,
go ahead, sir.
it just sits weird with me.
Let me take for the record, his attorneys, Jim Griffin and Dick Harpootlian are here. We've spent the last hour talking to him. We believe that he is a sound mind and body, and that he understands, and that he is in no way in diminished capacity.
Okay.
He is perfectly competent to answer these questions. Now, we're willing to, and we've advised that we're going to talk about the shooting incident a week ago Saturday, where he was shot in the head, how that happened, who and why it was done.
Okay.
We don't want to talk about what happened in Moselle, and we don't want to talk about anything involving finances at the law firm. Is that okay?
Yes.
Monica, yes, that's his
Okay.
birthday, May 27,
So,
1968.
Alex, let's talk about last Saturday morning, and let me go through this briefly. Who did you meet with and talk to last Saturday morning?
I met with Jim Griffin and Chief Chessie.
Mm-hmm. And then what?
I drove to Canton and I met with Chris Wilson at my mom's house.
Okay. And you and Chris were talking about what?
About everything I had done.
Okay, everything you had done concerning finances.
Finances, pills, lies.
Okay. Now,
Finances, pills,
were you
lies.
taking, well, first of all, let me back up for just a second. Have you had a long-standing Oxycontin or opioid addiction issue?
Yes, sir.
How many years?
The best I can remember, around 20 years, 18 to 20 years.
Okay. Now, on this particular day, on this Saturday, were you taking the Oxycontin or taking any opioids?
I had taken some, but, you know, I was taking, I'd given it all that I had someone else, and I'd taken some at like 4 a.m., so I was having some withdrawals.
Okay. And the previous day, the news had come out about your embezzling or taking client money or law firm money. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And how would you describe your state of mind at that time?
I was in a very bad place.
What does that mean?
I thought it would be better for me not to be here anymore.
What do you mean by not be here anymore?
I thought that it would make it easier on my family for me to be dead.
And easier, was some financial gain to your family if you were dead?
I have a fair amount of life insurance debt.
Do you remember how much?
Not off the top of my head, but like $10 million, $12 million.
Okay. And so you decided to end your life?
That's correct.
And tell these SLED agents how you went about arranging that.
This is Dick conducting the
I
interview.
called Curtis Eddie Smith on the telephone.
Okay, now let's stop for a second. Who is Curtis Eddie Smith?
Curtis
This is
Eddie
Dick.
Smith is the primary person who
This
I
is Dick
purchased
doing
pills
this
from
interview.
for years.
And some weeks you would give him how much money for pills?
I mean, it'd be in my records.
This is very
but
strange.
I mean, we had weeks where there would be $40,000, $50,000, $60,000.
That you would give him for pills?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you've known him for how long?
Years.
Years. So did you call him that morning?
Yes, sir, I did.
That day? About what time?
I'm not sure,
Okay.
but I asked him to.
Was it after you met with Jim Griffin?
It was after I met with Jim
After
Griffin.
you met with Chris Wilson?
I believe so.
Okay, and when you called him, what did you ask him?
I asked him to meet me.
Did he meet you?
He did.
Where did he meet you?
He met me out not too far from my mom's house.
Where?
He was on the side of the road. I think at the funeral home.
At the funeral home. Okay, and did y'all talk?
Not there. He followed me into town
To where?
to over where I stopped by the Sunoco gas station.
Okay, did y'all have a discussion there?
Yes, sir.
Did y'all get out of your cars or was just in your vehicle?
I don't think we got out of our cars.
And what vehicle were you in?
I was in my wife's Mercedes.
This cross-examination of
He
the
was in a gray
story
pickup truck.
is
Okay,
so odd.
And what did y'all discuss?
I told him that things were getting ready to get really bad and that I would be better off not here. And I asked him to shoot me.
And you asked him to shoot you?
That's
And
correct.
what was his response?
I mean, I think at first he was a little surprised. But then he said, okay.
Did you tell him where you wanted him to shoot you?
Yes, sir.
Where'd you tell him you wanted him to shoot you?
In the head.
And did you tell him how you were going to arrange that. What was going to be the logistics of that?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I told him to follow me out
Odd.
and that I would make a flat tire, and he would go past me and turn around and come back and do it.
And did he follow you out?
He did.
Now, where did he get the gun?
I gave it to him.
Where did you give it to him?
We had stopped somewhere on Salcahatchee Road, I believe.
Did you all have a discussion there, or did you just give him the gun?
We didn't have much discussion.
When you say much, was there any discussion?
I'm not sure. I was worried about cars coming, and so it was a very fast thing.
You gave him, what kind of weapon did you give him?
A revolver pistol,
What caliber?
38.
Okay, and that was your gun?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so he followed you out to where?
Salcahatchee Road.
Okay, and you pull off the road?
Yes, sir.
And he pulled off the road.
Well, with a revolver, there's no
I
casings.
stopped. Made my tire flat
How'd you make your tire flat?
with a knife.
Whose knife?
Mine.
What did you do with the knife after you made your tire flat?
Threw it.
Which tire?
Back driver's side.
Back driver's side. You threw it where?
Across the road.
Across the road?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was there woods over there, a ditch, or do you know?
Just some grass, like thick grass.
Okay. And after you did that,
This
he
is so
passed
odd.
you. Did he pass you as you were doing that?
I think that he had already passed me and was in front of me and went down the road, turned around and come back.
Now, when he was coming back, you had given him a pistol, and what was your intent?
For him to kill me.
Okay. And when he came back, did he stop? Did he pull up? Do you know?
He did.
And when he pulled up, did you look in his face?
I don't
His
think
attorneys
so.
are completely in control of this situation. Law enforcement is asking
He was
no
close to
questions,
his car.
And
and there
He
are
shot
no
where did he shoot you?
there are no questions
He missed and hit me in the very back of the head.
Okay.
probing
And as a
him.
result of being hit in the back of the head, did that have any physical effect on you?
It did.
What happened?
I lost my vision for a little bit, and I'm not sure if it knocked me to the ground or not, but I was disoriented, and it took me like a minute and a half, 2 minutes for my sight to come back.
And do you remember him driving off? Did you hear him drive off?
I'm not sure.
Okay, now after you came to your senses, did your vision come back?
It came back.
Okay, and what's the first time you remember somebody else being there?
I remember there were 2 cars that came, and one of them did a stop, and one of them did stop.
And the one that stopped, what did they do?
They tried to help me
In what way?
in getting me to in every way that first we got in. They were crowded in their car. There was some reason why their car was crowded, and I'm not sure what that was. But so the young lady got in my car and was going to drive me to the hospital. And
What?
I just wasn't thinking about the flat tire.
Because
And
it
so we
wasn't
had to
run
get out
for
of that, and then they worked it out somehow for me to be able to get in their car in the front passenger seat.
Okay, so-
What?
And you got in the front passenger seat. Where did they take you?
To meet the ambulance?
Now, were you on nothing? Did you call 911?
Yes, sir.
And you tell them somebody shot you?
Yes, sir.
Some cat shot you, right?
At my request.
So your intent was to have him kill you so you could collect your life insurance, right?
So my son could.
This is
I mean, I knew I was about to lose everything, and I figured he's better off that way than dealing with me.
I knew I was about to lose everything.
Now, this gentleman that shot you, give me his name again.
Curtis Eddie Smith,
What kind of vehicle was he driving?
gray truck.
Okay. Now, this gentleman that shot you, give me his name again.
Curtis Eddie Smith,
What kind of vehicle was he driving?
gray truck.
Okay, and I'm it's probably not relevant, but I'm intrigued by the fact how long was it, have you ever discussed with him before killing you?
Intrigued?
Oh, you commit suicide?
No, sir.
How long did it transpire between the time you asked him to shoot you in the head on the side of the road and he actually shot you in the head on the side of the road?
When I first asked him, we were at the Sunoco station in Barnville.
And how long after that did he actually shoot you in the head?
However long it takes to drive from there to Talkatchee Road.
More than a half an hour?
No, I don't think so.
Did he ever ask you to reconsider or say, no, things aren't that bad? Did he ever, try to convince you to do otherwise?
No, sir.
You find that strange?
What?
I didn't. I was focused on
Focused on what?
Being gone.
Okay. So that's all the questions I have, but I tried to lay it out as expeditiously as possible. That he'll be happy to answer any other questions. Any
Chad, I agree with you.
additional
Why
questions
would Curtis Eddie Smith agree to shoot the person who's paying him $60,000, $50,000 a week? I don't know.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Hey, let me ask you this. Y'all recording this, aren't you?
Yes, sir, we are.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure.
Yep.
Okay, good.
So, Alex, how long have you known Curtis Smith?
And Ryan, Officer Kelly, before we start, I just want to tell you, I apologize to you for lying at you in the hospital. I was in a very bad place.
No, so we understand. And I do appreciate you, helping us figure this out now. So that's in the past, so let's just focus on what we're doing now. How long have you known Curtis?
I've known him for years. I represented him. He knew my dad somehow for playing softball, and he came to my dad with a lawsuit, and I handled that case. So I would guess 10, 12
Okay.
years ago.
How often would y'all talk on the phone?
Very frequently.
Okay. And what would y'all talk about?
Getting pills.
Okay.
What
and
else
you
would
pay
you talk
him,
about?
money to get you pills, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How often would you pay him?
Frequently.
Okay. Well, I mean, once a week, twice a week?
It would vary sometimes, but it was several times a week.
How would you pay him?
In cash and mostly in checks, but in some cash too.
Okay. And what accounts would those checks come from?
The vast majority of them would come from the Bank of America account, but there would also be some funds that would come from the Palmetto State account.
And whose accounts are those?
Mine.
What names are they in?
The Bank of America accounts are in my name, and then there's another account there that I created that's a DBA, that's my name, DBA Forge.
Fake Forge.
And then my checking account at Palmetto State Bank.
Okay, so there's two accounts at Bank of America?
Yes, sir.
The DBA and then your checking?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what is the DBA?
Fake Forge.
Forge.
Thank you.
Forged. Forged. Fake
Okay,
Forge.
and then Palmetto is your, was the other checking account?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, most drug transactions don't go down in checks.
And who was he, so you were paying him the money. Do you know who he was getting the drugs from?
No, sir.
Al, what did he tell you where he's getting it from?
Oh, well, I was told that he got them from a black guy in Walterboro, and I was told that he had some connection in Beaufort. But
What?
I never.
Did he give you a name?
No, sir. I never saw those guys. I never dealt with those guys, so I don't know. That's what he told me.
Would you ever give anybody else money for drugs?
Yes, sir.
Who else did you give money?
I had given Kenny Hughes money.
Who's Kenny Hughes?
He's a guy that I called up and asked him
That's not a direct answer.
if he knew anybody that he could buy pills from.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him I had a client that had issues and couldn't get them medically, and that, you know, and I would pay him as well, but I called him up and asked him to do it.
All right, how much money do you think you gave him?
I have no idea.
Okay, did you write him a check or pay him cash?
Both.
Okay.
Was it cash that you would have people go
Alright,
pick up
you pay
for you in
anybody else?
envelopes and bring to your office? Was it that
No,
cash?
sir.
So it was just Curtis Smith and Kenny Hughes.
Yes, sir.
Sure about that?
I don't know what trial we're in anymore.
In the past, I have paid
I don't know what trial
Other
we're in
people.
right now.
Okay,
I don't know
who are
what's
those other
happening.
people?
I had a lady that worked at our house that, at our mom's house that,
And who's that?
Barbara Mixon. But that was on a very, very few occasions.
And did you pay her a cash and check, or how'd you pay her?
I'm not sure. I
Okay.
mean, that was on very limited occasions.
Okay. Is there anybody else?
Not that I can think of right now.
Okay. So
Yeah, we're now on the side stage at Coachella. We're on the side stage trial.
Yes, sir.
The main trial's
Okay, where
on
did you
break.
get that from?
It was at my mom's house
When did you pick it up?
But these are really
when
good.
I went up there that day.
Lemon cream cookies.
Do you know where it is now?
Delicious.
No, sir.
So you gave the gun to Curtis, and you don't know what he did with it?
That's correct.
Has anybody in your family had any communications with Curtis recently?
I don't know why.
Well, because when we interviewed him,
Does he have any other guns?
he said he
We have
had to
questions.
talk to his attorney first, and he listed you. And then when we said that wasn't possible, he listed Randy. So we're just trying to figure out.
I have to talk to my
Randy's not
lawyers.
going to represent him.
And let me say this, maybe.
Hold on, I got one more question. Does Randy have any knowledge of this?
Does Randy have any knowledge of what?
Of this attempted suicide / agreement
what?
with Curtis?
I have told I told both my brothers and my son
When?
very recently.
Yesterday, right?
When was it yesterday?
Yesterday. After
They're not
after
asking
we
you to
told
answer.
him we're coming here so that he could tell you, he wanted them to hear from him first.
Okay, so Randy didn't have any knowledge last week, previously?
No.
Absolutely not. I lied to him too.
Alec told me yesterday about 4:15.
The coaching in this call.
I sort of tipped John Marvin off, and then later on I learned that, and I talked to Alec, and he had called Buster, John Marvin, and Randy after I spoke with him at 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon.
Okay.
Coaching is.
We didn't do that. We're trying to.
And before that, I told them the same lies that I told you.
Now, here's an important thing. Since the shooting.
Here's an
have you
important
talked
thing.
to the shooter?
Yeah,
Okay, tell them about those calls.
I'm not sure. I was in the very beginnings of my
Listen to
detox,
fucking Poot.
and I can just see where I tried to call on the phone. I know I talked to him, but I don't have it.
Did you call him or did he call you?
I called him.
Okay, but you don't remember what he said.
I don't.
Do you remember what you told him?
No, sir.
And this is when you were in the hospital in Savannah?
No, this is when I was in detox here.
Okay, so you've called him since because you went to detox.
Let me ask you this, Agent Kelly, has the investigation revealed, as you testified before, that the defendant, like Murdaugh, did call Eddie Smith trying to use staff phones as well while he was at the hospital additionally in Savannah?
Yes, Mr. Murdaugh was able to contact Mr. Smith while staying at the hospital in Savannah. When? Monday night?
That's right. Did you call him on a nurse's phone from the hospital? I heard that from.
Oh, Jim too. Jim's like, let me just fill in the story here.
Randy said that I called him, and then he was asking me. He did say I did that.
I don't know where we live now. We don't live in the world of evidence
You don't remember.
or a murder
I
trial.
don't, but I will tell you from past experience.
I'll tell
that
you what,
when
he
withdrawals
absolutely did this. This I know.
Begin, you would do just about anything to make him quit, and I probably was calling him for that purpose.
To get killed.
Probably.
All right, so you,
Probably.
so you don't know where the gun is at,
No, sir.
but you last saw it in Curtis Smith's possession.
How many guns
I
have you
gave it
given
to him, yes,
Curtis?
sir.
All right, so the accounts that you were writing the checks to Curtis were Bank of America and Palmetto State Bank.
He's sure about the details except
Yes,
for the
sir.
important
All right, and the
ones.
funds, where were those funds coming from?
My clients.
Well, that's maybe an area we don't want to talk about, but just let's say the bulk of them were not legitimately obtained.
That's an area
And
we
I'm
don't
not
wanna
trying
talk
be
about.
Coy. It's just that, you know, Mr. Murdaugh is independently wealthy, you know, so,
Not
I think,
anymore.
well,
Not in,
I understand that, but, you know, I think it's a pertinent question, so, if,
yeah, no, look, he
Dick, this is
was
Dick.
independently wealthy, but there's a significant amount of money missing from clients in the law firm.
okay. So the money came from ill-gotten gains?
Yes.
Is that what?
Some of it, most, I would say the majority of it, but some of it, I'm sure I use my own personal funds too.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I was, you know, I was buying so many.
All right,
Bobby
so just
Cat,
let me
thank you for
get
the
this
super
straight.
chat.
So you entered into did you pay Curtis any money for this?
No, sir.
I'm also
You
here for
didn't
the
pay him anything,
antics.
so you just asked of a favor and he did it.
Yes, sir.
Kill me. That's great to hear.
What?
And
Dick? What?
so,
I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind.
and these
His
checks that
attorneys
you
are
were
just
paying
answering
to
these
Curtis,
His attorneys are
I mean,
confessing.
they were pretty significant, right?
Yes, sir.
But and when was the last time? I know. I mean, I'm not trying to get you to a. When was the last time you made a payment to Curtis? Was it before the shooting?
It would have been,
I got a question. Where'd that $500,000 go that
I
you
mean,
gave
not
Curtis that he
like
spent?
right before the shooting.
Where'd
Yeah.
that go?
Several days.
Okay. Do you remember how much you paid him?
No, sir. I think the
Was it check or cash?
the last few times I paid him were all in check, and I was trying to,
In checks. In
You know-
checks. It just doesn't make
you know,
sense.
as little as possible.
All right. Now let me ask you this: do you owe money to any drug dealers?
No, sir.
No, sir.
So there's not a threat out there that we need to worry about for Buster.
That's why the prosecution
No,
wanted
sir.
this. No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. So the money that you were paying to Curtis to get money from his dealer
That's why the prosecution wanted
or
this
his
in.
supplier, you were paid in full in those payments. So there's no outstanding debt that we need to worry about.
No, sir. Hey, Ryan, that's assuming that Curtis passed all the money along.
Well, no, I understand. I
And there's
understand,
the defense attorney swooping in.
you
There's
know,
his
we'll-
defense attorney raising doubt in the interview.
So, to the best of your knowledge, you don't owe anybody.
No, sir.
Okay.
Alex said no, sir. What Poot says is not evidence. Wow.
So,
This is so fucking
the
wild.
money that you paid him, you don't remember how much you paid him, but it was for pills.
Oh my God.
And you're saying that you you didn't pay him at all for him to shoot you.
That's correct.
Now, I'm gonna be honest, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Facts.
I understand.
And I know that, like, you know, whether you did or you didn't, it really doesn't have that much of a,
Doesn't
of a
matter at
difference.
this
So I'm not
point.
gonna, you know, but
You're fucked either way, buddy.
I appreciate you're being forthcoming and you're making every attempt to be honest at this point. But so
Making
you know,
every
I just
attempt
want to
to
make
be
sure that we're all on the
honest.
same page. So you did not
Oh, we're not all
make
singing
any
from the same
financial
sheet of music.
payment to Curtis to have him shoot you.
No, I did not.
Okay, but you entered into a verbal agreement with him to set up a scheme where he would shoot you. It would be a suicide set up as a robbery homicide. And you doing so
Opioid
was
detox is
in order for your son
debilitating,
to get your life insurance policy.
which also doesn't track.
I don't know about a robbery, but everything else is true.
Whose cell phone is
So
that?
let me say this.
Jim, is that you?
He's had
Jim?
this policy for 10 years. Suicide.
I've had a policy.
No, I understand that policies, I mean, what is the policy with? Where's it at?
I don't know where the actual policy is.
Okay.
Who holds
Did
it?
you intend to have that paperwork in the Mercedes, like the will and all that information? Was that left in there intentionally?
Well, I've been down to meet with some lawyers about some things, and it was in there from that
What do you think?
day before.
No, I think he said policies. Rob, I do. I think he said policies.
I can't call her name now. My Buster's girlfriend's employers, Kathy Olivetti.
Yeah.
He dragged his son's girlfriend's boss into this.
Just getting things cleaned up. I'd been down and met with him one time before, and
Ryan, there's a 2-year statutory ban on any suicide exclusion. In other words, if you have the policy more than 2 years, you can commit suicide and still collect.
Yep. Okay.
So-
that's not, now, what
That
he thought
doesn't make
really
sense.
doesn't matter, but he may have thought
Yeah.
that there had been a problem.
Okay. But you still entered into an agreement, basically, to have him kill you.
There was a 2-year
So
suicide
your
exclusion,
son
so
would
he
then
could have
reap
killed
the
himself.
insurance benefits. And
He could have.
Okay.
If he had chosen to, he could
Is
have.
that true?
yes, sir.
It didn't impact the insurance, which we've heard before, but now the jury has heard it.
All right.
So
So,
it
did you
didn't
ever? How did
matter.
you get the knife? Was it your knife?
You know, I think that Eddie gave it to me. Curtis Eddie Smith gave it to me.
Okay. And then how did you make the tire flat?
I just stuck it.
So you punctured the tire with the knife?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Eddie gave you the knife.
I've never
You
seen.
took the knife and punctured the tire.
I've never seen drug operations use
And then
checks
what did you do with the knife?
ever. They're traceable.
Threw it where?
I should text my friend who's in major narcotics. Have you
I believe
ever?
across the road, but I'm not absolutely positive.
The answer
Okay,
would
you
be
threw
no.
it. You disposed of it in the area of where the Mercedes was parked.
I think I threw it across the road from where it was parked.
Okay. Okay. Do you know if they disposed of the gun out there?
I do not know.
Okay. Okay. Was that gun registered to anybody?
Probably.
Probably.
To who?
Who?
Should have been. I believe that I purchased it, so I believe it would be registered to me.
You remember? Do you remember when you purchased it?
No, sir.
Where would you have purchased it? Yeah.
I got no idea.
Remember when he snapped at the female officer in that first interview when they were asking about time? He snapped at this officer the same way. I want to go back and look at those. Where he's like, what time for what?
Sir?
He did the same thing with this officer.
If y'all have them, we'd love to get them.
Yeah. It will be my case.
Yeah, I got a cell number 843-908. And a home number at 843.
Okay, with everybody's numbers. Internet, don't internet. The law nerds won't,
Alex,
but
did you ever have any dealings with anybody else besides Eddie? Any of his friends, family, girlfriend?
I mean, I knew who his girlfriend was, but I never had any dealings with her about Phil.
Who's his girlfriend?
A lady named Donna Eason.
isn't
I don't
she
know her very
Eddie's
well, but
alibi?
I've just helped her with a couple of little legal issues over the years.
Okay.
But she never was involved in the exchange of pills or money.
Okay. Is there a property up in Hugie?
A property where?
In Hugie, up 41. Do you guys own any property up there?
I did not hear
Yes,
Hugie.
sir. And, out of Charleston?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that.
There's a piece of property that I own with a bunch of other people that nobody else would pay, and so I've been paying for it, and he did some work up there digging some ditches.
When?
What kind of ditches?
When did he do that?
What are you putting in the ditches?
He started within the last couple of months.
I'm not going to start singing Digging a Ditch, just know it's in my head.
And that property, where's it at in Hugie? Just
It's off of United Road, United Drive.
okay.
I think it's called Redbeard and 0 United Drive.
I think it's called Redbeard. We know it's called Redbeard.
Hey, we're going to have to jump here in just a minute. And
Okay.
shut it down here in just a minute.
All
We've said what we
Alex,
wanted
is
to
there
say.
anything else that we're missing that we're not asking you?
Like, in regards to what? Not that I can think of, but, like, what are you thinking?
I was just kind of leave that open-ended. Like I said, I'm not trying to get, I'm not involved in the other aspects of whatever other investigations. You know, we're keeping those separate. So you communicated with Curtis. You would communicate with him over cell phone?
Yeah.
Okay. How many phones do you have, Alex?
Bing, bing.
At the time.
I had one phone.
Lies.
1227 was my primary phone. And then,
I have to download that phone, Ryan. You know, when SLED started focusing on Alex, said he's a target, we started doing our own work. So I took possession of that and sent it to a guy to download, and he had to get a separate phone, and that was that other number. And then y'all seized both of those, that's
Okay.
my understanding.
All right. And then he's got a third phone that he got prior to going to the treatment center.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What?
from Walmart, some burner phone.
Okay. What is his extended? What's your expected length of treatment there in Alpharetta?
The way he so casually is like from Walmart, the burner phone.
It's
3 phones.
Unclear right now, but he'll go from here into rehab at some point. We'll keep you posted.
Okay.
His lawyers know how deep in this he
anytime
is.
obviously
It's wild
this
to
is-
see.
So you've identified Curtis Smith as the individual who shot you. And y'all entered into an agreement, so y'all kind of were hand in
Conspiring.
hand in this.
Conspiring? Conspiring is the word you're
very
looking
much
for.
so.
And he never tried to talk you out of it?
I don't know. No, sir. I don't think he did.
Okay. Did anybody know about this plan besides you and Curtis?
No.
Okay. All right.
For those of you asking, Eddie,
And-
Curtis,
and-
same person. Curtis Eddie Smith.
I've done way put this on the record. Alex, did you tell us the truth? I just want to make sure Ryan understands him and leading him on a very,
No, I did not tell anybody the truth until, was it yesterday? Until yesterday afternoon.
Okay.
I've been really, really sick, and
That's probably accurate.
it was really the first day where I had any coherent thought process. And I sincerely apologize again for lying to y'all about everything that I did.
Yes, sir. And you have no idea where the gun is?
I do not.
Alex, you're right-handed, right?
I'm right-handed.
Okay, and you did not shoot yourself, correct?
I did not shoot myself.
Did you, were there, and what was the plan for Curtis to follow you out there and you would immobilize your vehicle? So did he stop to make it fly, for you to give you the knife first? I mean, how did that play? Because, you got the knife from Curtis. When did you get the knife from him?
I think I got it from him when I gave him the gun.
Okay, when you were at the Sunoco?
No, we didn't do it then. That's when...
Okay, when you pulled off the side of the road in Salkehatchie?
Shortly after we made the turn onto Salkehatchie, we stopped and did a quick exchange.
Okay, so you stopped, pulled over the side of the road, stuck the tire. Where was Curtis at when you were disabling the tire?
I believe he was going past me.
Okay, so he turned around, and where were you at when he turned around?
I'm not sure. I mean, I would have been on the side of the road, I think.
Okay, so did he pull up, kind of like what you said, just past your car?
That's basically the way I told you it happened is kind of how it happened, except it was arranged by me.
Okay, so as you turned around and turned your back to him, about how far do you think you were from the car?
I don't know, 4 or 5 feet.
Okay, 4 or 5 feet. And did you just stand there and wait for him to shoot you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sorry, we've got...
And how, I'm assuming he just fired once?
Yes, sir.
And then you fell to the ground or stumbled off?
I'm still not positive about that part, but I did lose my vision for about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes.
Okay. And why weren't you truthful with us when this initially happened?
Yep.
I don't have a good reason. I was in bad place.
Were you in a gray hoodie when you were in that bad place? Because he just keeps repeating I was in a bad place.
All right, gentlemen. Well, I know our time's cut short, but
And Ryan, I'll call you from the car once we get out of here in just a couple minutes, and then I'll call you while we're driving back to the airport.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, gentlemen. So we'll finish this. We are finishing the recording with Richard Alec Murdaugh, his attorneys Dick Harpoolian and Jim Griffith, and Special Agent Ryan Kelly, Special Agent Jomar Obayalde. It is now 4:58 on Monday, September 13th. Thank you all, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Special Agent Kelly, did that all sound like bullshit to you?
Special Agent Kelly, is that the complete conversation that you had with Alec Murdaugh
Damn it, I
on
like my
September
question
13th,
better.
2021?
Yes, it is.
Prior to that conversation, over the course of the 911 call, the ambulance, and multiple interviews at the hospital, did Alec Murdaugh ever mention or identify
I liked
Curtis
my question
Edward
better.
Smith at all?
It's objectionable as fuck,
until
but I liked it better.
his lies about the side of the road were exposed?
No.
Did Alec Murdaugh ever say that there was any risk or threat to Buster?
He said no, he did not. He actually denied it when we asked.
Did Alec Murdaugh say that Curtis Eddie Smith had anything to do with the murders of Moselle?
He denied it when we asked.
And is there any evidence that Curtis Edward Smith had anything to do with Moselle?
None whatsoever.
Thank you.
That's what
Nothing
the
further.
prosecution needed to ask.
Mr. Parpillion?
That's exactly what the prosecution needed to
Your Honor, I
ask.
understand we have a 4:30 cutoff. You just want me to go as far as I can go?
Or we can adjourn now for the day.
Great. Dick always wants to adjourn for the day, and I'm with him.
This is going to take a while, and I would suggest perhaps maybe one adjourn.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen,
Every time
we are
Dick says,
going
"Can we
to
be done
adjourn
early?" I
till
say, "Fuck yes."
9:30 tomorrow morning. Let's have order in court. I'm speaking to the jury.
Oh, the audience is so
We're going to
rude.
adjourn until 9:30 tomorrow morning. Have a good evening. Please do not discuss the case.
That's so rude. They do it all the time. They keep getting yelled at. When the court excuses the jury, court is still in session. They still have things to talk about with the attorneys. They are excusing the jury. They are still in session. Until he says the court is in recess, it is not okay to start getting up and talking and moving around. The court is in recess is when you are kind of at ease. It's been happening every afternoon, and you get that bailiff yelling, "Stay in order!" I kind of love it, though. I kind of love that.
Please do not discuss your testimony with anyone overnight. You'll be cross-examined tomorrow morning.
Yes, sir.
And we will be in recess.
Now they can get up and move around.
All right.
Now they can go. Now they can go. Okay, well, I'm gonna leave the court on because we start seeing. I enjoy seeing what everybody's kind of doing as they wrap up the day. So, any of y'all fucking horrified by how much Poot was answering those questions during the police interview? Because that shit was weird. That was weird. And maybe I'll get out of here before it gets too rumbly and this storm takes us away. So that is Brother Randy standing next to Buster in court. Buster's girlfriend there with him in court. I'm going to answer some questions soon. It was ridiculous, right? And that audio is what the prosecution needed. I don't think they really need Curtis Eddie Smith, but they needed to wrap that up because they knew Alex said, Buster's not in danger. I don't owe anyone money. They knew that and they needed that answer. So with that, I really just want to see Alec in court. Let me go see if we can. I don't know why the camera, I understand why it panned to Randy, but with Randy being in court and having dimed out Alec, I totally get it. But I wanted to see Alec passing things to his attorneys. And I don't see Maggie's sister there in court at all. So with that, we need to go to your questions and a quick summary. I'm going to wait and see if we see any more of Alec leaving court and the family. Buster's talking to his girlfriend. All right, great. Not really bothered by Buster and Alec. Waiting for Buster to flip the cameras off again. All right, just kidding. Don't know if he actually flipped the cameras off or not. Let's try to do a summary. Today, we are in the roadside incident part of the trial, or the roadside incident trial, or whatever it is. Alec has apparently admitted to all the financial crimes, yet those things are all still pending in an interview largely directed by his attorney with law enforcement. It was the strangest law enforcement interview I've ever listened to. I've listened to a lot of interviews with law enforcement. They're normally not conducted by the defendant's lawyer who's offering explanations. Just absolutely wild. This was evidence that until yesterday was going to be kept out. And now today we're in part 3 of this trial, or trial number 3 of the trial within a trial. It was very off-putting listening to how actively Dick Harpootlian was giving answers for Alec and filling in the gaps of Alec's story with regard to the roadside incident. The fact that Alec said he was running a $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a week drug habit through Curtis Eddie Smith, through checks, through his checking account. I've done a fair bit of drug cases. Cash favors cars, sometimes properties. But I have not seen checks used. Now, I've seen checks in money laundering quite a lot. PayPal accounts and others. But I have not seen that. Sure haven't. Very odd thing. And I don't believe all of it. I think the truth is somewhere outside of exactly what Alex said, and probably somewhere outside exactly what the prosecution is illuminating. Will we ever get to the heart of the thing? I don't know, but I am interested to see if we do. That was a very strange interview. It's something we have not heard before. All these roadside shootings, the 911 call had been made public, but nothing else had been. So we had not seen all of what came in today before. And that's interesting to me as well. This is new information and very new information, but the way the attorneys were so involved, I wonder how that will sit with this jury. This jury has now seen witnesses say, well, I talked to Jim Griffin about it. He's saying, well, you were there that night, Mr. Griffin. I wonder how this jury feels about how intertwined Dick and Jim are with this case and with this defendant, and if it will put them off the same way it's put us off, or if it's just par for the course for them and it's like, yeah, well, same. That's what happens. Everything's intertwined. But it also really leans into that everybody was a brotherhood and covering for each other that we heard from witnesses like Jeannie Seckinger. It's just so odd. This whole thing is so odd. The roadside incident is odd. And that's where I picked up coverage of this case. Once I saw the roadside incident story in September, I went, what? And then I started looking, and the from the roadside incident to the financial crimes unwinding is when I went, oh shit. Now, others had been involved in this story. Others have been involved in this story far before me. Mandy Matney was the one who I think, my opinion, but I think she was the first one to start tugging these threads publicly of what happened with Gloria Satterfield. The law firm was pulling the threads inside the law firm, but she was the one pulling the threads publicly and really saying, hey, what happened with this Satterfield settlement? And that is, I think, why the Murdaugh Murders podcast with Mandy Matney is such interesting and important and informative journalism on this case. She's local and she has been covering this for like 4 years. So when I picked up into this case, because lawyers stealing money from clients is something I've been covering for quite a while with regard to Girardi. And then you have this roadside incident and then it seems like it's staged. I was like, what? So then I started following this until this came to trial. It's just, there is so much more here. And I wonder if that is difficult for the prosecution to put aside how much they know about this case and make it clear for the jury, because the prosecution knows so much about this case, because this case is just like this massive amount of shit, and they've got to narrow it down. I wonder too if the way they put together this testimony will show the jury how clear a case can be when the evidence is clear. Because the roadside incident, it was like, oh, what did he say? He said this. Oh, and what did you find on the crime scene? We found this. And oh, what happened next? Oh, here's the photos from the video of the car. They're here. It was like very clean and simple. The murder case has not been that clean and simple. And the murder case is getting lost in all of the other cases, which says to me that if Alec Murdaugh is convicted, that when they appeal, there is concern that the appellate court will be like, the murder case got completely lost under all these other bad acts. It is a very real concern if he's convicted. So the interview was just so weird today. It was just so weird. And I need more time to process it and run the, and run quick bits, because this is going to be a lot to take in and I need to listen to it again. Just strange stuff. So let's answer your questions. We are just almost, Danny, can't it turn into a RICO case, the conspiracy and all? I don't know if the feds would grab the state cases, and I don't know why the state hasn't started pulling them together. I don't know. The Tiffany Kine said, I'm watching this because of Mandy. Look, the amount of courage it has taken those involved in this case to come forward against a very powerful family, and for Mandy to just ask the simple questions, just asking questions as a journalist, just asking questions as someone who covers cases is not always easy. And it has gotten her quite a lot of pushback. Now everybody's seeing it after it's unraveled. She started asking these questions before this unraveled, when Alec was still respected and powerful. So asking those questions of someone who's entrenched in a community for generations and who is powerful is a tremendously courageous thing to do. And I don't think there's any way to look away from that. So, or to frame that differently, though she has been criticized for it, as people who are the first to ring the bell often are. And so it's been very interesting seeing how this has all played out. So it's just wild picking up on this case. And that's one of the reasons why when I cover cases, I always look for who the local coverage is. And Mandy Matney was one of the first local coverage that I saw on this. So, there are those who will come for Mandy Matney. I am never one of them. I will defend because I think she's just been absolutely incredible. And we saw incredible bravery in this case from the witnesses in this case who were afraid, from Annette, from Jeannie Seckinger, from Shelley Smith, from Blanca Simpson. Incredible bravery going against an entrenched and powerful family. And I think that's one of the things that's most fascinating about this case. But that also sometimes gets lost into the sideshow of all of this. This case is it's just so telling. I was telling Judge Abby about this case a little. She's like, what have I missed? What have I missed that's so telling about this case? And I'm like, this is what you've missed. People were throwing papers. People are crawling on the ground. The judges had enough with everything. We're at 404 up to our fucking eyeballs. And somewhere there's still a case. Oh, and Michael Satterfield, absolutely. And you could see the frustration and the pain for Michael Satterfield in his testimony. Absolutely. And even for Chris Wilson, who is turning against a lifetime friend, and for Ronnie, who is turning against a lifetime friend and testifying against them. And for Maggie's sister, who was clearly fucking pissed at Alec in her testimony, but who came forward even though it might put Buster's last parent behind bars for life. She must have been incredibly torn. It's a sad case that has gotten lost behind kind of a sideshow at times, and it's just absolutely wild to watch. But this case touches on a lot of things that go outside of this case. Of course it does. So let us just answer some more questions. Did I roll the questions bumper? I don't even know. Go ahead and like and subscribe. I think the more that you subscribe to the channel, it'll hold off this tornado warning. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. New subscribers on my YouTube channel will absolutely keep me on longer and hold off this tornado watch from becoming a tornado warning. Of course it will. Don't y'all, I have cut streams before. If we end up in a warning, I will cut the stream. Requesting a quick bits on Jen Shaw reporting to prison tomorrow, when, where, etc. Love to EDB and the Law Nerds. I don't know where they assigned her. I can take a look. I will do a reel on it. Yes, she reports tomorrow. Will she be in full glam? I have no idea. And I wonder if they assigned her to Camp Bryan, which is where she wanted to go, the same place that we saw requested from Elizabeth Holmes, who won't be reporting until April, I believe. So we'll see. But yes, Jen Shaw reports to prison tomorrow. I will do a reel on it. I just need to go see if they've announced where she's going. That's a lot of money for drugs. It is a lot of money for drugs if it's for personal use. And most distributors don't use checks. They just know better. But maybe that's the level of entrenched Alec was with police, with everyone else. This is pure questioning. Maybe that's the level he had gotten to. This had been going on for years. No one's going to say shit. He has a badge at the prosecutor's office. He works as a prosecutor. If he is also distributing, maybe he's like, we can run checks. Nobody's even going to ask. I'll say that you're digging ditches out at the house. You came and helped work at Moselle. There's ways to cover it. Maybe he thought it was never going to be a problem. And that's what it was for. I don't know. View from the windows to the walls, to the windows, to the walls, to the sweater. Okay. Sorry. Question. Do you think Alec Murdaugh told his lawyers the actual truth of what happened? I don't know. And why would they represent them, as it seems he's in too much debt to pay them? There's money somewhere. Lawyers don't work for free. I wonder if Runkle has ever gotten to interrogate his own clients. I've got questions too. I think Runkle would say, and we can ask Runkle himself, I'm sure he'll be on somewhere this evening, because everybody's streaming all the time right now. I'm sure he'll be somewhere. But I imagine what he would say is, if I'm questioning my own clients, it's not with the police present. If he's questioning, if Runkle's going to question his own clients or any defense attorney, I imagine it's proffering them to the prosecutor so they don't get prosecuted. It's like, hey, I'm going to proffer my client with you. This is what my client knows. You don't prosecute them. We give you this information. That is a scenario where you hear something like this interview, where the defense attorney is helping guide an interview to say what their client knows, and then they don't get prosecuted. But that's not what's happening here. Did you just do the dance from the scene of the proposal with Sandra Bullock? Yes. Yes, I did. Because yes. Because yes, I did. Because yes, I did. Because yes, I did. Because Betty White. Y'all, we have the same references. We are people. So Nickelback was right. Everybody has a drug dealer on speed dial. Clearly Nickelback was right. If chat, coming close. Listen, Linda, there are 36,000 of you here. If you have not heard the sea shanty version of Rockstar, I cannot play it here because YouTube is grumpy enough with me. If you have not heard the sea shanty version of Rockstar, find it fucking immediately. It is glorious. And they change it to rum dealer on speed dial because everybody's got a rum dealer on speed dial. When he said his, he said when he hits withdrawals, he'd do anything. And he said that Paul is a smart little detective. Maggie's sister said Paul would look for pills and keep them from Alec Murdaugh. That's a motive that makes more sense. Just Tammy, it might make more sense, but it's not what the prosecution has argued. And I think they are blinded by the financial crimes and didn't even look at whether what they were really looking at. And I wonder if the prosecution didn't believe his addiction. But they would have had the sister's testimony and they could have asked more about it. I just wonder if they disregarded that because it did not fit the way that they saw this case. And their narrative of the case was the financial crimes collapsing. And it might be a connection of the two, that the financial crimes collapsing were going to impede his addiction. That is also a very real probability that these prosecutors don't seem to have looked at, that whether or not once the financial crimes unwind, he's not going to be able to afford whatever part of his addiction he's fueling financially. I don't think 50,000 is fueling a week-to-week addiction, but whatever he is fueling is going to end. Plus his kid is taking his pills. Plus he's got this $30 million lawsuit with the boat case. Plus his wife wants to leave the area because of the boat case. Plus. So Alex's little detective comment had no context. Maggie's sisters did. I didn't know how the two came together until Maggie's sister said that he would be moderating his father's pill addiction and taking them away. So, and that's not what they were talking about. Maybe Alec was the supplier for the club. Look, the amount of lawyers with addiction issues is no small thing. And it's required, I think, in every state. I don't know if it's every state, but I think it's every state required to take some of your continuing education dealing with addiction. In California, it's required to take a certain amount of credits with dealing with substance abuse, alcohol, prescription pills, things like that. Lawyering is hard. It fucks up people's mental health. Therapy. I like therapy. I very much like therapy. And sometimes whiskey. How does the prosecution wrap this craziness up into something the jury can digest? I don't have confidence. Runkle talked about how he could be retired if he hired someone to do it. I don't know if he hired somebody to do what. I would love to see Runkle full-time on YouTube. He's great. Just notified my 16-year-old son missed fourth period today. Any tips for direct examination? No, cross-examine that. You cross-examine that on fourth period. Why did you miss fourth period? I didn't miss fourth period. You did miss fourth period. Where were and then you start asking leading questions to get to the truth. Or say, if you just tell me what happened, it's going to be easier for all of us. Wonder how much Buster actually knows to be true. I wonder as well. Buster seems to be standing by his dad based on all the jail calls we've heard. Tammy, this makes a lot of sense. How would Alec commit the murders, cover it up when he can't even set up an incident on the side of the road? Joe, absolutely a fair point that cuts against the prosecution. Or maybe the prosecution will start arguing Cousin Eddie came in and cleaned up, but Alex said Cousin Eddie had nothing to do with Moselle, so they're arguing Cousin Eddie had nothing to do with Moselle. The level of trafficking and laundering he admitted to will get mandatory minimums that would rival a murder sentence. He's facing life. He's facing life. I don't know why they bring the murder case unless there's something we're missing. Just go after the financial crimes in the Roadside incident. I don't know. It makes me worried they are too close to this case. So that. Thank you, Term. I appreciate the insight. All this proves that Alec is messed up, but not necessarily a killer. Also, don't disagree. This is Ozark. Seen that a lot of comments about that. I think my theory on what could have happened here changes at least 16 million times during this stream. Yes. And the prosecution has still not made it clear. In Depth v. Heard, when you were hearing the evidence, you went, oh, in opening they said this must go to that. Or where is the fecal phobia and the peen caso? We heard about that too. Where is it? But each witness, you were following along with the story. And though the dates could get confusing as to what incident happened where, it was not nearly as confusing as this is. So, isn't $50K a lot of money for drugs in a week? I think so. But also, I haven't prosecuted in a number of years, and I don't know the current street value of narcotics. Dick actually threw him under the bus a bit. Sure did. Is the DEA investigating these guys? I have no idea what the feds are doing or if or what. It's getting rumbly and dark. Why is the state attorney general doing a murder case? Great question. I would love to tell you. It's because the solicitor's office is where Alec held a badge as a volunteer solicitor up until the Roadside incident, after the Roadside incident in September. And they didn't recuse themselves until August. Even when they recused themselves from the murder investigation in August, they did not take his badge, a badge that you could use to access crime scenes or to get out of traffic tickets or whatever other nefarious things people use badges for. But he still had a badge at their office even after they recused themselves in office. So the solicitor's office or the district attorney's office in their area didn't recuse themselves till August, and that's when the AG's office took over. So that's why they are doing it. Regina, you are so smart. I don't know about that, but thank you. Have a gift for making this fun. I think I can do that. Love watching your coverage. Thanks for being you. You're welcome. This case hurts my head daily. Defense insisted on a speedy trial for the murder charges. Yes, they did, but I don't know why the prosecution brought the murder charges. I'm waiting to see the thing where I'm like, okay, fine. They grand juried the murder charges. Also, the state could have waited. They had plenty of time to bring the grand jury charges. They didn't have to bring them when they did. They didn't. They could have waited. He was in custody. He was going nowhere. They chose to go to the grand jury. They could have waited. They should have anticipated the defense saying, we're not waiving time. They should have anticipated it from the beginning. Why create the illusion of a flat tire if the intention is to look like a murder? A flat tire only works if he survives. He said he pulled over for a flat tire. I think he wanted it to look like he pulled over for a flat tire and was shot. But I understand the inverse is he was getting ready for the story he would have to tell afterwards. So he's not really anticipating that he won't be here to tell a story. He's anticipating telling a story, and he needed to have a story to tell. Just realized I talk like a Southern belle whenever I get pulled over when driving. I address the police with sir and ma'am every time, like Alec Murdaugh. So do I. I prosecuted big drug dealers, no checks ever. Yeah, I'd never seen it. Never seen it, but I'm also going to ask the homies, hey, have you ever, is there a one case? Money laundering, yes. White collar crimes, yes. Drug crimes, nope. Cash, amongst other things. So AM must be guilty for the financial crimes to cover up the old boy network he was covering, that was covering for him so long. He'd have got off that easy somehow. The plan was to get him off for murder too, maybe. 50,000 a week, 100 pills equals 500 pills, 7 days equals 71 consecutive days. Thank you for the math. This is so messy. Toe beans, so fucking messy. Have you ever seen or heard an interview conducted like this? Only proffers. And proffers where the defense is like, hey, and that generally doesn't happen in state level cases. That happens more in federal cases. But proffers where, hey, we'll bring you our guy, and our guy knows all of this, and we're going to tell you this. Use our guy as a snitch. Don't prosecute our guy. Our guy's going to tell you the things. And so when people turn state's witness, then you see interviews kind of like that. That one was a mess. D said, thank you for helping us decipher this hot mess. You're welcome. This entire trial is a soap opera, Quesarito. It is a novella wrapped in a soap opera, wrapped in a Lifetime special, wrapped in a John Grisham novel, wrapped in an Enigma and Cash. All of it. All of it. Have you ever? No. This is one of the most wild trial. I wouldn't believe it. I wouldn't believe any of this if I was just reading reports on this case, because it's so just crazy. Just crazy. Y'all, I'm sorry. Nightbot's hard-headed. I apologize to all of you that are like, damn it, Nightbot. I know. Nightbot's real picky, but also I get real distracted by all caps, so Nightbot tries to help. And then Nightbot does have a sass. Nightbot's a hard-headed bot, man. There's only so much we can do. We don't want to turn the robots against us. We try to play nice. Aaron, Emily, why don't both sides agree on the experts, quote unquote, before trial begins? The waste of time proving the experts to the jury. Aaron, I love this question, and I can tell you. Here's why. Part of it is that there's going to be a battle of some of these experts, and the state wants to tell the jury why their experts are the most experty experts ever. Most experty experts ever. Because then when the defense experts get up, the defense experts are going to say why they're experty experts. And you need to be able to tell the jury how and who to believe. So some of it is building credibility for the jury. This person's done all of this, done this many crime scenes, done this many death scenes, done this many autopsies. So that's part of it. Oh, we're not blocking Nightbot. Nightbot does help. Nightbot does help on the channel. We do have purposes for Nightbot that we use. Nightbot just doesn't have discretion because he's a bot. She's a bot. They're a bot. You're a bot. Nightbot's a bot. Watching while I wait for my sister who's in labor to have her first baby. Krista, congratulations. I don't know when you sent this super chat, but baby may be here. First girl in our family. My other sisters and I have 6 boys in total. Thanks for keeping this nervous auntie distracted and busy. All the things. Welcome, baby girl. And Krista, good luck to you, auntie. That's so exciting. We are also mostly boys up in this family. Ryan Blackout said that's $50K a week is a person would be dead using so much. I don't think it's for personal use. I don't. So exactly why did he have all these attorneys? Judy, this is a great question because they all just let him talk. They all just let Alec talk. Your right to stay silent only works if you shut the fuck up. Kathy said the defense will try to pin the murders on Eddie. I think so. By saying he was so quick to agree to kill Alec. And I don't necessarily think that he was, making it seem that Eddie has no conscience, or that Eddie would do anything Alec asked him to. I mean, everything goes both ways. But yes, I absolutely think we're going to get into arguments over third-party guilt. The prosecution's made motions to keep third-party guilt out, and we are going to absolutely start seeing motions with regards to third-party guilt. We just haven't argued those yet, but it's going to come up, especially as we get into the defense case. Probably next week. Why is Eddie in jail? Well, partly for higher insurance fraud scheme, partly for drug trafficking and other narcotic offenses. Blanca said Maggie thought they were asking for 30 million in the boat case. Tinsley said they asked for 10 million. Was 30 million ever asked for, or is AM lying because he can't afford the 10 million? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. And also when people are overstressed, sometimes things exaggerate, but also there might have been 30 million being requested total, but that Tinsley was thinking 10 million from Alec personally, but it's 30 million from all of the defendants. So both might be accurate in this circumstance. Both might be accurate, if that makes sense. Brianna, it is not a front quarter panel. It's a freaking fender. Law enforcement is forever saying that. It drives me insane. Okay. It doesn't look like a fender. It wraps all the way around the side. I don't know the difference though. Unrelated. Anyone else want AM to take the stand and ask him what shit you up means? Yes. If he takes the stand and they don't ask him what the fuck shit you up means, I will be very disappointed. Very. Shelley said this does not sound like a man who has experienced reduced mental capacity due to a head injury. He did not. He is very alert and responsive, as is evidenced by his detailed explanation of everything. And I think that's why they played, or that's their justification for playing the 911 call and the hospital call. He is very oriented. Please be careful today. The storms have moved through Memphis, but they were scary. No tornadoes, luckily. I was woken up at 4 a.m. because my apartment was shaking. We had a very flashy night last night, loud and flashy, and we are rolling in now. Yeah. I'm sitting on a plane in North Carolina, traveling home from the Bahamas. Delightful. Did you find any of Alec Murdaugh's money or FTX's money or Sam Bankman-Fried's money? Did you find anyone's money in the Bahamas, Marilyn? And so badly traveling home from the Bahamas and to so badly cancel my flight to go watch the rest of trial today. Didn't find his money in the Bahamas when I was there. Marilyn, I'm glad you looked. Today can be rewatched. We've got a replay crew and we love you. Gingy Prob said, found out yesterday that my therapist is also a law nerd. Hi, Margot. And we used the last 15 minutes of the appointment to talk about Alec Murdaugh. I'd gladly pay another copay for that. I love that. And yes, often my therapist has to hear about the cases I'm covering too. Emily, has the prosecution emphasized that Maggie didn't want to return to the house that evening? She was murdered and AM pressured her. Did I miss it? And I was going to answer this earlier and then they started talking again. And I try not to talk over when it's at length. They talked about it with the sister and they did go into it with Maggie's sister the most because Maggie's sister encouraged her to go back there. And so, yes, they haven't argued yet, but they asked Maggie's sister about it 2 or 3 times. And then Creighton gave a pause after he asked Maggie's sister. So you encouraged her to go to Moselle that night. And Maggie's sister was clearly heartbroken. And she's like, yes, I encouraged her to go to Moselle. She wasn't going to go there. So I think that is one of the things they covered pretty well. Bronwyn, if Alec Murdaugh gets a not guilty, but in a year or so they get some new evidence showing he did it, can they accuse him again? No. Under double jeopardy, they cannot charge him again for the same crime. So not for the murders. Could they charge him for different crimes? Yes, but not for the murders. Wendy Trauma Warrior said, I'm recovering from an ACL reconstruction. I've done that. Not fun. I've been back here with you since day one. I'll cry if I have to go back to work before this trial ends. ACL repairs take a minute. So we're here. I was trying to grab this question. Question from Amber. Is Buster or anyone else in the family going to testify for the defense? They're on the defense witness list. And whatever happened to the server's conversation between Alec and his friend, we never got to hear. I don't know. We didn't get to hear. So we will see. I think we might hear from his brothers in the defense case. Maybe. I don't know though. I don't know if we will. Money will be history real soon. Everything will go digital. You will have nothing and be happy. I will not go quietly. At all. Cash. People still need cash for quite a lot of things. So, Zior, I hope I pronounced that right. Probably not, but yep. X's are hard for me. I know I'm reaching, but maybe AM was being blackmailed. He might have been being blackmailed, but the prosecution has no evidence of that and they can't argue it. It doesn't mean the jury might not think it. So with that, y'all, today ended court a little early. Y'all, I'm sure there will be a roundup tonight on Peter's channel. I don't know if I know Rob is live tomorrow. I think Natalie Lawyer Chick is moving on to a different trial that she's going to be covering on her channel. I don't know who else is covering what, but I am going to bounce and try to get quick bits done for y'all since we have an early court day today. Let the mods get some rest. Let Miguelina get some rest. And we will be doing all of the things. You guys are saying Rob's live tonight too. Rob's live tonight too. So there is plenty more coverage around the interwebs today. I'm going to go keep my eye on the weather and cover all the rest of the things. Y'all, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being law nerds. I'll see you back here tomorrow morning. More roadside interviews and a cross-examination is what we're getting tomorrow. I'm going to go fix the titles on today's videos to cover what we actually covered. And with that, thank you for being law nerds. That's not what I meant to do. Thank you for being here. I'll see you soon. Replay crew, made it this far. Big love to you. Hope you use the timestamps down below, and we will talk soon.
You can find all the Law Nerd goodies at lawnerdshop.com. Connect with me on social media at the Emily D. Baker. And don't forget to check out my podcasts, The Emily Show, and the new podcast, Quick Bits, summarizing everything I talk about on my Tuesday and Thursday live streams. You know, when you only have time for just the quick bits.